Wait. This is news to me because I've been following this since it happened, and it was the state legislatures that approved the alternative slate electors. They voted on it. They were sent to the Electoral College.
None of the state legislatures voted on an alternate slate of electors. You saw a cut-up video of OAN saying that it happened on Twitter, because when you watch the full video, you can see that black box being wheeled in beforehand, and you can see all of the counters and officials and everybody are there when they begin recounting the votes. Rudy Giuliani admitted that he lied, but he said he had a First Amendment right to lie, and that's why he lost his court case against Ruby Freeman for defamation.
I know James O'Keefe personally. He's a friend of mine.
Was he making money when Veritas was getting more eyes on their media?
He got donations because people wanted to continue seeing that happen.
Keefe himself saying that there was no evidence of voter fraud in Pennsylvania. No, that's not good enough.
All right, my name is Zach Vorhies. I'm known as the Google Whistleblower. I've got quite a following on Twitter. I'm known for blowing the whistle on Google in 2019 about Google's plans to rig the election in 2020, which they were very successful in. I don't label myself as a conservative, liberal, communist, fascist, Christian, whatever. I am a dissident and futurist. So I hope that this is going to be a very interesting conversation. I don't really fall into any of the categories. So if you think I'm on your team, I'm probably not. And that's pretty much my introduction.
Gotcha. Just so that I can get a bearing. What is your most substantial criticism of Joe Biden? What's the biggest issue you have with him?
My biggest criticism on him is that he seems to be a puppet of the deep state, and he is implementing their goal of tearing down the current system and replacing it with something new. Okay.
And what is your biggest criticism of Donald Trump?
He seems to be controlled opposition and seems to be doing the same, and they are fighting against each other in a controlled dialectic in order to together bring down our system. And I just want to preserve a diverse, pluralistic democracy of which this nation was founded.
Okay. And you're prepared, or you want to argue with me that you don't think so I would argue that Donald Trump I'll lay out my argument and then we can go from there. You can decide how you want to attack this, right? Sure. Okay. So I think that Donald Trump and his group of lawyers attempted to coup the U.S. government by entrenching his power, using falsely generated elector slates that he was going to pressure his vice president into accepting on the day of the count on January 6th when they were counting the electoral votes. And I think that he planned to do this by having his coup process and then combining it with violence on the 6th with an insurrection to also pressure Pence and the lawmakers to accepting his false slates of electorate. So I think that essentially leading up to J6, it was a coup plus an insurrection on J6 in order for him to entrench his power. That's my position.
Are you aware that the alternative slate of electors, which you've called fake electors, was also used to get JFK elected?
No, not in the same manner.
In what way was it different?
In that these were done without, the ones that Donald Trump and his people did were done without the knowledge of any of the state legislatures that they had claimed that they had been, and that there was significant pressure on the vice president to choose these in a way that contravened established law.
Wait. What do you mean it wasn't without the knowledge of the state legislatures? They had trials within the state legislatures to present the evidence, of which they took that evidence and then determined that an alternative slate of electors was necessary and warranted to send to the Electoral College for consideration.
That never happened.
What do you mean it never happened? We posted about it on Twitter. I was one of them. We saw the whole thing going down. They literally had
You were one of the what?
Republican people that was posting about the presentation by Rudy Giuliani and others that there was election interference and that an alternative slate of electors was warranted to go to the Electoral Congress. And that's exactly what happened. That is
in all 7 states?
I don't know if it's all 7 states, but yeah, I think it was all 7 they did it. Yeah, that's my assertion. I'm open to being wrong that it was all 7 states, but I believe that it was all 7 states, yes.
Okay, this did not happen. These were done secretly with Donald Trump and his campaign contacting the Republican electors in all of these states to get them to transmit their votes without the ascertainment of the state legislatures or the governors. And none of this happened in court.
Wait. Yeah. If this was secret and nobody knew about it, then how did I know about it and how did I tweet about it?
I mean, when I say it was secret, I mean that it was done without the consent or the approval of the state legislatures.
But there was the state legislatures that approved this.
They didn't approve it. That's why they're false.
wait. This is news to me because I've been following this since it happened, and it was the state legislatures that approved the alternative slate electors. They voted on it. They were sent to the Electoral College.
None of the state legislatures have voted on an alternate slate of electors.
That's literally how the alternative slate of electors was sent to the Electoral College. Look, I mean,
wait. To be clear, that's not how they were sent by USPS certified mail. Some of them didn't even arrive. That's why there was a girl that actually had to fly one of the electorate slates out to DC like the day before, and I think she handed it off personally to I think it was Chesbrough to be ran to the vice president. Although the vice president didn't accept it. But
so no. Are you saying that it wasn't legitimate by a technicality? Or are you saying that there wasn't a trial that we saw on Twitter where evidence was presented and then there was a debate about it on Twitter? Because that's what we saw. That's what I saw.
Wait, what do you think you saw? What are you talking about that you saw? We could look at it and I could tell you what you're seeing or what we're looking at.
Rudy Giuliani went to several state legislatures and presented evidence that there was election fraud, and they had a debate about it, and they voted, and they set an alternative slate of electors to the Electoral College. And you're saying that never happened, but I remember following that.
I can't. The thing is I can't even parse that sentence. Like, you can't have a trial in front of a state legislature. Like, the legislature doesn't try things. That's for courts. Giuliani might have made some of these arguments in court, but all of these cases except for one failed, and the one that succeeded in Pennsylvania.
A state legislature can't have a trial. Like, I just went to the Texas state legislature in May and gave testimony that Google was engaging in election interference. And from that trial or that hearing, they made a decision to empower the state attorney general in order to subpoena big tech. So, I mean, what is your definition of a trial?
Well, for any like criminal trial relating to like fraud or anything like that, state legislatures could like have a hearing and do testimony, and they can do like investigations and stuff, I guess. But none of that happened either. There was no testimony in front of a state legislature that had them authorize secondary slates of electors. Like this, none of this happened.
Well, when you're saying that there wasn't a hearing or there wasn't a trial, it seems like that's more of a technicality because we saw it. We saw what the result was. And the thing is that those alternative slate of electors weren't even legal until the Electoral College was agreeing to hear their testimony, which never happened because we had this Fed insurrection that interrupted that entire process. And so we never got to present that evidence to the Federal Electoral College.
I don't know what the Federal Electoral College they wouldn't hear evidence on voter fraud. That's not an appropriate venue.
That was what the entire thing for January 6th, and that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, I know that's not real. That can't happen. That's fake. That's why it's a coup. The Electoral College is not the place to present evidence of voter fraud. That would be for a court to decide, or maybe a state legislature could theoretically hear that. But this was tried in a whole bunch of different courts. Trump's campaign was responsible, I think, for 62 cases, and they lost 61 of them. But yeah, almost all of these died in courts.
When you say that it died in courts, what happened is that they died in courts because of lack of standing. Like, there wasn't like a trial done where the evidence was presented. The majority of them, they basically dismissed it, saying, well, the person that's bringing this lawsuit doesn't have standing. Like, they even did this to Texas. Texas sued saying, look, why have a fair election if these other states, these swing states like Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin can just, flip the vote with election fraud? And the Supreme Court said to Texas, to their attorney general, that they lack standing in order to bring even the evidence. And so there was a lack of trial.
So that is true for the Texas v. Pennsylvania, but that's because one state can't tell another state how to run their election, right? All of these states were alleging procedural issues by the end. There were no serious claims of voter fraud that were being treated. Even the Trump campaign dropped most of these and didn't take these up in court. Texas doesn't have standing to tell another state how to do their election, because why would any state have any standing to tell any state how to run their elections? And in terms of the challenges in court, if a challenge fails on standing, meaning that it died pre-trial, one, a lot of these were done. I think for the Trump things, I think 30 of them had evidentiary considerations. But two, for a lot of these cases, it was just they were bringing like a single affidavit alleging that this guy says there was fraud, and then like the relief they were seeking was to have like millions of votes just thrown out. It was never going to succeed. There wasn't any substantive like voter fraud brought before any of these courts. And a lawyer knows who has standing or not to file a case. Like, if it's happening that they don't have standing, then the lawyers themselves are probably just like throwing throwing civil cases at the state just to like basically say that they're like doing, lawsuits. But
you can't say that these courts ruled against the evidence when the evidence wasn't even allowed to be presented because of the lack of standing in almost every single case that was brought forward alleging ballot fraud. Right? Like I was on stage with Richard, who was one of the whistleblowers for Project Veritas. He literally saw that ballots were being imported and ingested and then backdated so that they appeared to be coming in by the legal the legal time frame, right? And the thing is that there's clear evidence that there was election fraud in multiple states, right? Like in Georgia, they had ballot shredding that was going on. There was no chain of custody for tens of thousands of ballots that were going on. There was a closing of the counting, and then they continued to count once everybody went home. And so the question that I have for you is, if there wasn't any election cheating, then why was there appearance of a cover-up for this election cheating and ballots continued to be read after they told everybody to go home? Like, isn't that something that we would expect from a country like Venezuela and not like a free and open democracy like we have here in the United States?
So for the first part, standing is essential in a court case. If you can't show that you were harmed by something, why should you have a right to bring a case in front of a judge? That makes sense, right? If you lied to your mom, I can't sue you over that. Because why? Why would I be able to sue? Or if you break a contract with your landlord, why would I be able to sue you for that? Even if you were in the wrong, I have to show standing to the court. I've got to tell the court I'm injured by this. That's what civil court. That's what tort is for.
Wait. Does the election of the president affect all of us? Like, shouldn't we all have standing to be able to bring evidence of fraud? Like, if I'm in a state of California and California commits election fraud, shouldn't I, have a citizen, have standing to at least present my evidence to a court of law to be able to, even argue my case?
Correct. You should. If you're a citizen of California, you could. But if they couldn't even find citizens to bring these cases, and it was just the Trump campaign alleging some procedural flaw, which is what a lot of these were, then yeah, of course, the court is going to say, one, they filed a lot of these cases really late, and two, they're going to say, why would you guys even think you have a right to have an issue with this particular procedure? You don't have standing for any of this.
Right, but now you're arguing right now. Like, let's just go on this point right here. Like, in terms of standing, why wouldn't Texas have standing in whether there was ballot fraud in another state? Because they're going to be under the jurisdiction of the outcome of the election. So shouldn't they at least be able to have a hearing and to be able to present evidence that there was election fraud in another state?
No, another state could say, we're actually going to award all of our electors to the Republican Party every single time because we want to. And that's it. They could just say that. A state could say it. States have ultimate authority over how they choose to run their elections, by the legislature thereof. They can choose that. Texas wouldn't have standing to tell another state, hey, we think you guys didn't investigate your voter fraud well enough, or hey, we don't like how you run your elections. No state can tell another state how to run their elections. That's left to the authority of the states. Absolutely.
So it's not that there was or wasn't election fraud. It's that, well, it's okay that that all of these court cases that were trying to present election fraud were shut down because the people didn't have had lack of standing to be able to present even the evidence to a court of law.
Sure. So let me give you like a pro tip here. If cases are dying because of standing issues by teams of lawyers, the teams of lawyers knew that they wouldn't have standing to do it. They're doing it because the cases are bullshit. In all the cases where election fraud was actually investigated, the fraud was found to be bullshit. If a case is dying because of standing, it's because the lawyer knows that they don't have a good factual claim there, so they're just like filing, basically just vexatious litigation, I would say. However, to that point, to further that point, right, when you bring up the Georgia thing, this was something that was reviewed by, there's a federal judge actually, BJ Pack reviewed the video evidence of this. Raffensperger and his kind, all the people involved in their state legislature reviewed the evidence of this. And Donald Trump and his campaign reviewed the evidence of this. And all of them saw that when you watched the full videos, it wasn't closed and the counting magically began afterwards. They closed it and then they decided they still had to count and then they reopened it. All of it is caught on camera.
So we're both on the same page that they did close the counting and then they continued the counting and that they pulled ballots from a previously unknown location and started feeding them into the ballot reading machine. Do you agree that that is true or not?
Yeah, but none of that was against the rules or illegal. Because, and the easiest way that I can prove this is the origination of this claim is Rudy Giuliani, and Rudy Giuliani finished his court case on that, and his defense.
No, it wasn't.
No,
Rudy
hold on.
Giuliani
Sorry,
wasn't.
Yes, it was.
We saw it on Twitter happen when in real time.
I understand what you're saying. You didn't see it happen on Twitter. You saw a cut-up video of OAN saying that it happened on Twitter. Because when you watch the full video, you can see that black box being wheeled in beforehand, and you can see all of the counters and officials and everybody are there when they begin recounting the votes. Rudy Giuliani admitted that he lied, but he said he had a First Amendment right to lie, and that's why he lost his court case against Ruby Freeman for defamation. That entire origination of that claim was from a highly edited, misleadingly edited OAN video.
What was it that Rudy Giuliani lied? Because you've made this claim before with Tucker
He lied
Carlson
when he said to Ruby Freeman, Tucker Carlson, by the way, knew these were lies as well. That's why he left Fox News, and it's why they lost, for instance, the Dominion lawsuit. And all the Fox execs also knew that these were all lies about the Dominion cases and that everything Sidney Powell was saying she was a lie. That's all available in deposition as well. But the claims that Ruby Freeman ran multiple votes. No. For Ruby Freeman, the fact that she ran votes multiple times and that they closed and reopened the counting and pulled out a mystery ballot box or whatever, the black ballot box, those are things that Raffensperger himself has shown videos of it being bullshit, and Rudy Giuliani admitted they were all lies. That's why Ruby Freeman sued him for defamation, and he lost.
Tell me what was proven that Rudy Giuliani lied on, because you said that before. Yeah,
you can't
tell me
prove somebody lied.
Specifically.
So specifically there was a edited video from OAN that showed a mysterious black box being pulled out. But when you watched the Raffensperger walk through the full video, you can see the black box was wheeled in earlier. It just had ballots, right? Also, Ruby Freeman was the one who was accused of multi-counting ballots and the closing of the reopening thing. Giuliani repeated that multi-counting thing, and so did Trump a billion times. Giuliani said that he lied about Ruby Freeman. That's what the court case was about. It was a case against him. I can give you the court docs if you want, where he asserted he had a First Amendment right to lie about her, and that was his defense for that, and he lost.
Well, the thing is that we all saw that the ballots were closed, that the counting was closed, that they wheeled in ballots, and they started reading it through the machines after the counting was closed. Now, you can't assert that there's no fraud, that there's no basis for that when they're clearly doing something that is morally repugnant. You can't just say, oh, the counting is closed, everyone go home, and then just say, psych, we're going to continue to read the ballots. Like, doesn't that give us fuel to say, well, hey, look, there's something going on here. We need to investigate this. And that was what was being presented to the Georgia state legislature that allowed them to send their alternate slate of electors to the Electoral College.
People did investigate it. There was no wrongdoing. Nobody could find any wrongdoing. The federal judge that reviewed it, BJ Pack, didn't find any wrongdoing. Raffensperger and the election investigators didn't find any wrongdoing. The people that reviewed the video didn't find any wrongdoing. Nobody found any wrongdoing. It was just asserted that it was wrongdoing because of an edited video that showed up on the OAN Twitter account. And that was it. That was the origination of that claim. There's nothing else.
What about the ballots that were headed and caught going towards the A1 shredders?
Every single one of these big claims that was made has either been walked back by the Trump campaign, they decided not to go to court with it, or it's been like there's just no evidence of it. People made these claims and like nobody could corroborate or verify anything.
A1 backed off and said, we're not going to process this result because we don't want to get involved in the election. Like, we saw it with our own eyes in the video that they were hauling in ballots from this election center. Like, people followed these trucks. Like, you can't just say, well, we investigate ourselves. We found out that there was no wrongdoing. Like, that happens in every single communist country.
It's not about investigating themselves. The courts and the legislature are two separate bodies. Number one.
Right. And so you think that the courts are not corrupt and that they are flawless and that they would never have some sort of infiltration in the same way that happens in every single branch of the government?
If you want to take that argument, we can, but then we have nothing to argue on. If you're going to say that every single branch of government is corrupt, every single state legislature is corrupt, and every single state court is corrupt, then I guess okay. But then there's nothing we can talk about, right? Here's my question, though. If you think that all of these people are corrupt, why wouldn't you think OAN is corrupt? Why wouldn't you think alternative media is corrupt? Don't they make money selling the same type of lies?
I mean, that's actually my thesis, is that we're living in a corrupt system. But the problem is that not every single place is corrupt. What happens is that there's localized places of corruption in which they feed their corruption through.
Sure, right? But like if we look at alternative media, they have an incentive to sell you a lie that there's voter fraud because it's what their audience wants to hear. What incentive would Raffensperger and all the Republicans in Georgia have to throw their own election for their own Republican Party? Why would they want to do that?
Are you aware that it was either his son or his daughter, their partner got killed in a mysterious accident days before the election took place?
If people are willing to kill people to secure the results of an election, then why did Hillary win the popular vote but still lose the election in 2016?
I mean, do you think that this is the first time that an election has been rigged?
So every time we get an outcome we like, it's because it was rigged. And every time we get an outcome we don't like, it's because they rigged that one too. They wanted you to win just to prove that they don't rig the ones. Like, you understand, I can never falsify any of your claims, right? Like, you've created a conspiracy where you always have the conspiracy explaining why a bad thing is happening or a good thing is happening because they want to hide the bad things.
You think my position is that when Trump winning in 2016, that the election was not rigged? Is that what you think that I think?
I think that if they had the ability, if they were going to kill people to rig an election, I don't know how Trump would have ever won in 2016. Seems like he would have lost there too.
Well, unless he was planned to win it and it was rigged in 2016.
Sure, but if I can't trust the courts or any investigators or any state legislatures or the federal government at all on any of these issues, then how could I even know that? I feel like I would just have to be agnostic on anything. How could I know any of these claims to be true?
Yeah, that's why I'm agnostic on everything. I'm literally.
But you're not agnostic on everything. You're here arguing some elections are rigged and some elections aren't rigged. You feel like all of the elections were rigged. That's not agnostic. That's making a positive claim that they were rigged.
Yeah, they're rigged all around the country and all the states. Like, that's been shown.
But how has it been shown?
Like, true. Well, Project Veritas had videos. Like, they went to New York.
Why would you trust that? That's a private company that gets private funding that has an incentive to show you stuff because they make money off of it. They're not going to make any money.
Because I know James O'Keefe personally. He's a friend of mine, and I know that him and his character. And
did he make money selling videos of stuff? Like, was he making money when Veritas was getting more eyes on their media?
He got donations because people wanted to continue seeing that happen.
Okay, didn't you just describe the issue though? Would he have gotten donations if he would have shown there was no fraud?
He showed the fraud and he got donations. Like, you're trying to switch cause and effect.
Well, no, I'm not. But I'm saying, let's say that he showed that, oh, we did an investigation. The election was actually like A-okay. Then he's not probably going to get any donation. Who the f is donating to an organization to say, oh, cool, the voting worked?
But we're not interested in elections that are not corrupt. We're interested in elections that are corrupt. And he was able to show elections that were corrupt by talking to the officials that were running it, in which they thought that they were just talking to, somebody at a party. And they went into a tirade about how the elections in New York have been corrupt for decades, since ever. Right? Like, they've had a history of corruption. Everybody in politics knows that there's a history of corruption. And so what you're trying to posit is that we should just ignore those people and just say, oh, well, the elections are not corrupt and that the courts are not corrupt. I mean, why wouldn't the apex capitalists of the global system corrupt the courts, corrupt the federal system, and everything else? Right? Like, that's what the evidence is showing us. And so if I'm going to believe in your position, I'm going to have to say, well, these people that are giving off-the-cuff statements at a party in which they are in the know about this sort of corruption, we have to discount this, assume that they're all lying, even though they're not really talking to each other, that all of these statements are basically them making up, and that they just coincidentally have to align with the statement that our election system is actually deeply flawed.
Do you think that there's a chance that because people are so hungry searching for evidence of voter fraud, and they know there's going to be a huge reward if they can show stories of it, that maybe they'll make those claims up?
Well, the thing is that we had people following, these shredder companies in Georgia, and they're not making that up. Like, that literally happened. The A1 company made a public statement saying how they are backing out of doing this order because they don't want to get involved in election politics. Now, why would they say that if it was just something that some rando on Twitter made up?
Why is it that O'Keefe and Project Veritas, in regards to the Pennsylvania voter fraud, came out and said that all of their allegations were incorrect and that the video that was posted, the guy was probably not hearing the conversations correctly and all of it was misreported when they were challenged in court over their statements?
Yeah, because they got sued and it went on. And I know the guy, Richard, he wanted this to be over. He doesn't have the same sort of fortitude that I have. And, when I met him, early on when he did this, he told me multiple times that pretty much every single time that I talked to him is that he wanted it over. And here's the thing, Project Veritas had a coup.
So now even when I show you evidence of O'Keefe himself saying that there was no evidence of voter fraud in Pennsylvania, now that's not good enough. That's
called a settlement. That's called a settlement.
Why would you settle in a case like that if you were correct? Why would you even want to settle?
Because they're hemorrhaging. Have you ever paid a lawyer?
I haven't.
To defend yourself?
Yep.
Yeah,
I sure wouldn't admit to lying about something if I felt like I hadn't lied. Like, for instance, I know James O'Keefe intentionally and knowingly lies maliciously when he does media content. If he wants, he can sue me for that. We can go to civil court. I'm not going to settle that out of court. Absolutely not. We can go to court all day. We'll go before a jury if he wants, because I know I'm correct on that. Or at the very least, I know that he couldn't prove actual malice against me. And I imagine the same would be for Project Veritas and O'Keefe as well. You don't think they could fundraise money for that court case if they genuinely felt like there was voter fraud there? You don't think they could do a huge fundraiser where every single person in the country that knows there's voter fraud would contribute to it?
They lost after a coup, right? Like they folded the case after the company was destroyed. Like, do you understand this? Like,
maybe the company was destroyed because they put out a lot of misleading claims that they eventually wouldn't be able to defend in court when people actually had to like be truthful under oath, and they actually had to present real evidence and not just misleading videos.
They were flushed with cash. They were raking in like I think the last year that they were doing it was $20 million. The company got destroyed, and there was still a indemnification clause against Richard. Richard didn't want to fight, and they thought that was going to be easier. And this is my speculation: is they thought it was going to be easier to just sort of fold and just say, you know what, let's just say it was made up and move on, because Richard didn't have he didn't want to fight this. And where's this money going to come from to hire these lawyers and continue to get them paid to defend this thing where the opposing enemy has endless amounts of money to keep on fighting? So no, I don't think that Richard made it up. I think that he was telling the truth. It matches what we saw, with Pennsylvania when the whole thing was flipped. Like literally when Trump won, on the night, there was like 5 states that were all in his favor, and one by one, through recounts, they all got flipped. Like,
so to be clear, none of them got flipped through recounts. They eventually started to change because the mail-in ballots were always going to be heavily democratically favored. That shouldn't be a surprise, though, because Trump literally spent a whole year saying that mail-in voting was fraudulent. So, of course, Republicans didn't engage with mail-in voting as much as Democrats did. That's why Trump tried to declare the win on election night. That's why leaked audio of Bannon said he's going to try to declare the win on election night, because every single person knew that the votes would probably start to flip overnight. Bernie Sanders was on the news like the day of, or the day before, saying that, like, yeah, it might look like he's won initially, but as more ballots come in, states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin might slowly change as they start to count, and they're more heavily in favor of Democrats. Like, do you deny that Democrats would be more likely to vote via mail-in ballot than a Republican?
I would take that argument, but the thing is that it was the Republicans that had a red wave outside of the presidency. And so you're going to tell me that we all showed up to vote for Republicans that weren't Trump, and that Trump was the only one that we weren't willing to support? Like,
considering that Donald Trump is a historic break from the Republican Party in terms of moral character and policy positions, yeah, that's not surprising at all.
Those people won because people were coming out to vote Trump. But the thing is that if you're going to have election fraud at the federal level and not have it at the state level, what you're going to see is you're going to see a red wave that's going to happen everywhere except for Trump himself. And that's exactly what happened.
You don't think it's more likely that there are certain people that just really didn't like Donald Trump? Like, do you think, for instance, like voters in Arizona, where John McCain is from, after Donald Trump said that McCain was a loser because he was a prisoner of war, you don't think that those people might not like Trump but would still vote Republican? That's impossible to imagine.
The energy, as being someone that's inside, the energy for Trump was so amazing because we've been putting up with the destruction of labor. We've been outsourcing our jobs, and Trump seemed to be the solution for that. Like, I don't know anybody that would want to not vote for Trump as a Republican. Like, look, there are some problems with the guy, but the alternative was Joe Biden. And so,
sure, but like all of my friends, all of my friends in 2016 and in 2020, they all like Bernie Sanders and Andrew Yang. Doesn't mean that those guys were going to win the elections. Like, I mean, yeah, we can be surrounded by people who feel very strongly about candidates, but it doesn't mean that that's the candidate that's going to win, right?
Yeah, but whenever there's a weak candidate for president, what happens is that all the downstream ballots also suffer, and that's not what we saw right here. Like, this was an anomaly, and what you're saying is that, well, that anomaly is fine. Those people all came out and didn't vote for Trump because they didn't like him, but they voted for all the down ballot races. That's not how elections happen.
So it's impossible Trump is a very polarizing figure. You have to acknowledge that, right? He's a very unique figure in time. I don't think it's totally unsurprising that there would be people that might vote for Republicans, but they don't support Trump's antics anymore, especially after the last 4 years.
If that were true, it's unprecedented. It's never really happened before in my recollection.
But I don't know if anybody's had like the same like divisive rhetoric that Trump is. Trump is known for giving his opponents like bully nicknames. Like, yeah, it's a pretty unprecedented president. He's the first guy that's saluted an enemy military, first guy that's shown up with Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il or whatever for fucking pictures. He's the first guy, that's asked for criminal immunity as the president. Like, Trump did a lot of unprecedented things, so it's not surprising that the way that people engage.
But we don't see that as bad. Like, we're tired of all of the war posturing. Like, we don't want to get into a military conflict with North Korea. Like, Trump was the most unlike war president in the history of my life. And I'm 44, right? Like, he's the only president in my lifetime that didn't get us involved in any new wars across the world. Right? Like,
I mean, that's fine. They didn't get you involved in any wars, but he obfuscated the drone strikes in Yemen. He continued to back the Saudi-led coalition in the strikes in Yemen. He was still involved militarily in Syria, literally saying, no, he did things he knew. We were having information published about it from the drone strikes before under Obama, and then Trump obfuscated that. He didn't want people to know how many drone strikes happened in Yemen in his administration. He bombed an Assad airport in Syria, right? It's not like he didn't do military activities. He is the one that negotiated with the Taliban to leave Afghanistan without the Afghanistan government involvement. He was the one that abandoned our Syrian allies, the Kurds, in northern Syria into Turkish airstrikes. He said he wanted to take over Syrian oil fields and that he thought the United States should run them when he was president. I'm just saying that, like, listen, I'm not all to say that, like, people can't like Trump, sure, but when you have a guy that stakes that many like strong positions, it's not surprising that there are also some people that wouldn't like him in the Republican Party, right? It's not like he lost 50% of the voter base, but it's not that surprising that, like, a couple percentage points of people probably wouldn't support him.
I've never seen a presidential candidate draw so many people in every single rally that he had. It was like Arizona, there was like a Trump train that was like tens of miles long of people trying to, show their support for it. The same thing in Florida. And additionally, there was also the exit polls, which showed that the polling from the state wasn't matching the polling in what the officials were telling us, right?
I think the polling was...
When you dovetail that with the ballots being sent to a shredding office from the in-person ballots, it starts to make a lot of sense. Oh, well, they're cheating because they're shredding the ballots on election day so that they can amplify the ballots that are coming in through the mail-in ballot system.
If they were truly cheating, why would they shred ballots? Why wouldn't they just lie about the count? Why would you drive things to a shredder? Like, wouldn't it be way easier to just... Okay, but like, why not just like record the count differently? Who's going to know? Why would you have to shred ballots? Also, why would the polling data be off? Why wouldn't, if it's all part of the mainstream media and all the polling companies are all rigged and better each other, why wouldn't they just change the polling and say, like, oh, look, the polling actually shows that Biden won?
So are you saying that they didn't shred ballots? Is that your thesis? Is that
they did not shred massive? No, that did not happen. No.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, but we have eyewitness testimony from people that followed. It was posted on Twitter. We saw it.
That's great. There's eyewitness testimony that UFOs have abducted people from farms before. It doesn't mean anything, though, right? What matters are the investigations and everything that happened afterwards. And none of the investigations, none of the court cases, none of the credible evidence turned up in court, apparently. And all of those investigations eventually
because they lacked standing to be able to present the evidence. It wasn't like the evidence got presented and the courts said, nope, this isn't valid.
Then why not find somebody? Then find somebody with standing.
Even citizens that were part of the voting in the state didn't have standing. Like, that was the whole labyrinth, the Rube Goldberg machine of suppression of getting justice. The whole entire justice system was broken.
That's not
because
true.
Every single person that should have gotten standing got denied lack of standing.
Nope.
And that's what we have right now.
30 of the 62 cases that Trump's campaign brought before courts were dismissed because of evidentiary rulings. Now,
so you need to believe this because you want to believe that there was no valid reason for the alternative slate electors, that there was no hearing for alternative slate electors, and that therefore the people that were let in to the congressional building on J6 were terrorists that were trying to instrument an insurrection against the government and change the outcome of the election.
So there was no hearing in front of a state legislature to have alternate electors. None of the alternate electors were certified by any of the state assemblies. That didn't happen. None of the state legislatures approved any of them. And the initial people that got into the building, the Capitol building on January 6th, broke down the doors. We have video footage of all of it. They broke down the door and they broke down the window.
The people that have never been caught, you mean? Like we've caught grandmas, we've caught people that went in there peacefully, but the violent insurrectionists that you're talking about that the CNN replays, constantly, those people have never been caught. Just like the people that were doing the gallows, we don't know who they are. And then finally, when we get one of the people that were instrumental in that, Ray Epps, you have the New York Times defending him, writing a fluff piece saying that he is the victim of a vast right-wing conspiracy. And right now, we're getting the same gaslighting that you're doing right now saying that, oh, well, the videos don't count of him trying to incite everyone to go into the Capitol because that's where our problems lie.
There's
right?
one video, there's one time where Ray Epps says we need to go into the Capitol, and it's on the night of January 5th in front of Baked Alaska. Every other video of him was just telling people to chill out and calm down. I've watched all of them. And I talked to the person that originally wrote that article from Revolver.
He literally busted through the gates.
No, he didn't. He literally didn't. He did. The video that you're referring
I posted
to.
The video.
Then you didn't watch it. That's fine. I watched it. The video that you're talking about doesn't show him breaking through at all. It shows him talking to a guy next to him on the camera, and then somebody else breaking down the gate. Now, the conspiracy theory is he's actually whispering to the guy, get ready, we're all going to break through right now. I don't know why he would whisper it to that guy on camera, and then another guy would break the gate down, but you will never find video footage of him breaking anything down. On the 6th, every video that he's in is usually just him saying like, hey guys, stop fighting with the cops. Hey, chill out.
So your determination that he wasn't actually breaking down the fence is that he wasn't touching the fence when that whole thing was going on, even though he was standing shoulder to shoulder to all these people as they were tearing down the fence. Is that what your argument lies?
Correct. Anybody that wants can go watch the video. We watched all of this a million times on stream before. He's not tearing down or even touching that fence at all, that gate at all. Correct.
Okay, and so because of that, he deserves to have, basically a slap on the wrist for not only inciting people to go in, not only telling people we need to go in, not only being there arm in arm as they're tearing down the fence to go in. We should just, say this guy is a victim of a right-wing conspiracy. But hey, grandma that went into the Capitol building when the magnetic doors got unlocked, she's an insurrectionist that should be, getting years in prison.
Well, I do know, I think it was 13 people were charged with seditious conspiracy. And I know there are other people that were charged for violent actions. I don't remember how many altogether, but I mean, if you trespassed and you knowingly trespassed, that's a crime. I don't know.
Okay, so for the people that you're talking about that did this violent insurrection, because there were people at the front, right? Like part of the reason why I went viral with my video was because I interviewed one of the people that was at the front lines, and he said is that the Trump supporters were trying to stop them, and there was video to collaborate that.
No, there isn't.
Evidence.
There's plenty of video of them fighting with the cops.
I've seen it myself.
There's video of Ray Epps telling people to stop fighting with the cops, funnily enough. But when you look at all the people fighting on the front lines, these are all Trump supporters that are fighting with cops, that are trying to break in. The people that are breaking down the doors and the windows, these are all Trump supporters. People like Nick Fuentes that are shouting at the top, go in, let's go, whatever. Like, these are all Trump supporters. Like, yeah. People that breached the windows were not caught. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know the individual identity of those people.
That's true.
But also, maybe they were caught. Maybe they're just informants now. We don't know, right?
Well, I mean, it's been alleged that a lot of them have been informants. The FBI has not come out and said, oh, well, we had no informants. They've admitted that the entire crowd was infiltrated with lots of informants, right? And so that makes sense that the people that were committing the most violent acts are still unknown to this day. Then how can you discount the fact that this actually was a federal psyop designed in order to put on a show of violence in order to get people like you riled up and say, oh, this was definitely an insurrection, right? Like,
if it was a federal psyop that was coordinated with our FBI, why wouldn't they just arrest the people up front? Isn't that what you guys accuse of them doing with Ray Epps now? Because they did arrest Ray Epps, I think, a few months ago.
That's our same question. Why didn't they get arrested? Like, they're like, of all the people that should have got arrested, it was the people that was actually breaking into the federal building that should have gotten arrested. But to this day, we largely don't know who they are. And when we find out one of them, like Ray Epps, the wagons circle around and they say, oh no, he is the victim of a right-wing conspiracy. Look, if the barrier of entry for getting somebody, charged and sent to, 2 years in prison is that they entered a Capitol building after the magnetic locks were unlocked, then what about the people that were actually committing, violence?
Sure. So who is
into the building?
So are you familiar with Dominic Pizzola?
I'm not, no.
Okay, so this is a member of the Proud Boys. He was the one who had the riot shield in the beginning, who used it to break the Capitol window. I think he was the very first one to go into the building. This guy was indicted in 2021 on federal charges, and in 2023, alongside Enrique Tarrio, and Ethan Nordine, Joseph Biggs, and Zachary Rail. All of these guys were, he was convicted of obstructing a congressional proceeding, assaulting a police officer, and other crimes. Although he didn't get the seditious conspiracy conviction, he was charged with a crime and he was convicted of crimes. So it seems like...
So what did Enrico Tarrio do on J6?
I don't know. I'm just saying that this was the guy. I'm just saying you just said before that nobody knows who the people going in were. This was the very first guy in.
For the majority.
Okay, well, now we say the majority. I can go and look for others. I don't know the names of every single person in, but I'm saying this was the very first guy that went in. He was charged and convicted with crimes. So,
right. It's funny that you mentioned Enrico Tarrio because he wasn't even there on J6. He got turned around and pushed out of Washington, D.C., and yet he got 20 years for being part of this so-called conspiracy to overthrow the Capitol, right?
Well, what was he charged with and what was he convicted of?
Yeah, I think he was charged with conspiracy for insurrection, or don't quote me on that, but I do remember because when on J6, I saw a tweet post saying that Enrico Tarrio actually got turned away and was not allowed within the Capitol. I was like, that's really weird. I wonder why that is. And then later he gets, 20 years?
Why do you keep saying him being there? Why would it matter if he's there or not if he's charged with conspiracy for planning it?
I mean, what's the evidence he planned anything?
I imagine that probably would have, one, some evidence must have been presented to the grand jury for the indictment, number one. And then number two, if he was convicted in court, I imagine there was evidence presented in court. What was the evidence that was presented in court?
What's the conspiracy? I haven't heard that there's been a conspiracy. It seemed like it was just random violence.
Well, I mean, that's not what he was convicted on, no?
Right. Well, we have a corrupt court system, and we don't know the story. Like, here's the thing, is that there's evidence that he actually was part of a seditious conspiracy to do an insurrection. Then wouldn't we all know what the details of that are? Like, right now you're telling me, hey, just trust me, bro, on the courts. And the problem is that we don't have, like, who planned this, who plotted this, and you're saying, well, he was part of this planning. Well, what are the details of this seditious conspiracy to overthrow the Capitol?
I mean, have you looked at anything relating to the actual trial?
Yes, at the time I
did.
What
was the evidence that the prosecution presented in trial?
I don't remember the details, but it didn't stick as anything that was worthwhile in being real because he wasn't even there at the Capitol when it happened.
Why do you keep saying he wasn't there? Why does that matter? I don't need to be at a place to plan a bad thing from happening, right? Well, I don't need to go there.
Look, if there was a plan, like if there was a plot, right? Like the leftist media would have been all over it. They would have been like, see, we got the details, all this kind of stuff. And none of that happened, right? It's like you're telling me that he was part of a seditious plot to overthrow it. And that's usually why he got 22 years. Like that's the first time I've heard of any details of a plot to overthrow the government. I'm still waiting for the details to this day of what that was.
Then why not just go through the court case? Why would you not have just gone through the court case?
Let's go through the court case. Let's go through the court case. Why did Enrico Tarrio get 22 years for not even being at the Capitol when this so-called insurrection happened?
I don't understand why you keep saying be at the Capitol.
Well, 22 years is pretty massive. Like there must be been some sort of smoking gun evidence that, would indict him for that many years in prison.
Okay, I'm going to send you a link. This is the indictment. We can read it if you want.
Do it.
The grand jury charges that at all times material to this indictment on or about the dates and at or about the times below. There's an introduction. This is just going to be background facts. So the 2020 United States presidential election occurred on November 3rd, 2020. As of November 7th, the incumbent President Donald J. Trump was projected to have lost the election. I can skip over a lot of the background facts if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
just tell me what page that you're on so that we can.
I'm going to page 3 of the PDF. All right.
Okay.
Background. All right. Enrique Tarrio, Ethan Nordine, Joseph Biggs, Zachary Real, Charles Donahoe, and Dominic Pizzola, and other individuals known and unknown to the grand jury are affiliated through their membership in the Proud Boys organization. The Proud Boys described itself as a pro-Western fraternal organization for men who refuse to apologize for creating the modern world, aka Western chauvinists. Proud Boys members routinely attend rallies, protests, and other events, some of which resulted in violence involving members of the group. There is an initiation process for new members of the Proud Boys, and members often wear black and yellow polo shirts or other apparel adorned with Proud Boys logos and slogans to public events. Through at least January 6, 2021, Enrique was the national chairman of the Proud Boys organization. Throughout the United States, there are local Proud Boys chapters, which are typically led by chapter presidents. Each chapter has a degree of autonomy insofar as the president of a local chapter governs that chapter in its geographic location. It talks about Ethan, Joseph, Zachary, Charles, Enrique is a 38-year-old resident of Miami, Florida. On January 6th, he was the national chairman of the Proud Boys, and then Dominic.
I'm reading this right now. What I'm being able to grab from this is that he was posting tweets.
Okay,
and that he was part of the Proud Boys. Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's a conspiracy to obstruct a legal proceeding. There's nothing here in which they planned an insurrection. It's that they encouraged people to show up for this J6 protest, and that's what he's being thrown in jail for.
Okay, let's see. On fact 13, page 4. From at least in or around November 2020, Tarrio used his platform as leader of the Proud Boys to publicly post statements in response to the projected results of the 2020 presidential election. For example, on November 6th, Tarrio posted a message that read, "The media constantly accuses us of wanting to start a civil war. Careful what the fuck you ask for. We don't want to start one, but we sure as fuck will finish one." On November 12th, Tarrio posted a message that read, "Fuck unity, no quarter, raise the black flag." On November 16th, he posted a message that read, "If Biden steals this election, the Proud Boys will be political prisoners. We won't go quietly, I promise." On November 25th, Tarrio posted a social media post by Joe Biden that stated, "We need to remember we're at war with a virus, not with each other." Tarrio then posted, "No, you need to remember the American people are at war with you. No Trump, no peace, no quarter." From at least around.
Wrong? So what's wrong with that? So we've read page 4. What's wrong with that? It seems like that's constitutionally protected speech.
So far, I think I would agree. Yeah, I don't think anything has been a crime here. Yeah. On 14, from at least in or around November 2020, Nordean, Biggs, and Rail used their platform as regional leaders of the Proud Boys to publicly post statements in response to the projected results of the 2020 presidential election. I see one that says, "It's time for fucking war if they steal this shit. No, bitch, this is war. We tried playing nice and by the rules. Now you will deal with the monster you created. The spirit of 1776 has resurfaced and has created groups like the Proud Boys, and we will not be extinguished. We will grow like the flame that fuels us and spread like love that guides us. We are unstoppable, unrelenting, and now unforgiving. Good luck to all you traitors," blah, blah, blah. Okay, just tweets. Number 15 is, on December 12th, 2020, Tarrio and other members of the Proud Boys attended an election-related rally, sometimes referred to as a Million MAGA rally, in Washington, D.C. The December 12th rally was organized as a protest of the presidential election, and the dates of the protest coincided with the certification of the Electoral College results in each of the 50 states. While in Washington, D.C. on December 12th, several Proud Boys were involved in an altercation in which Proud Boys members were injured, including a knife wound suffered by person 1. While in the District of Columbia on December 12th, 2020, Tarrio participated with a group that included members of the Proud Boys in the theft and destruction of a banner that read Black Lives Matter, which was property of, which was property of Asbury United Methodist Church in Washington, D.C. On December 17th, he posted a message on social media in which he admitted that he was the person responsible for the burning of the banner. Tarrio claimed that he took action because he would not stand by and watch them burn another city. He said, "Come get me. If you feel like what I did was wrong, we'll let the public decide." On December 19th, plans were announced for a Stop the Steal protest event in Washington, D.C. on January 6th to coincide with Congress's certification of the Electoral College vote. Beginning in late December 2020, Tarrio and a handful of other members of the Proud Boys created a new chapter of the Proud Boys that would consist of members from across the country. The new chapter was referred to as the Ministry of Self-Defense, or MOSD. Tarrio described the MOSD as a national rally planning chapter that would include only hand-selected members. The small group of leadership of the MOSD included Tarrio, all the people listed in the indictment above, basically. Immediately after forming the MOSD, Tarrio and the leadership of the MOSD began preparations for January 6th, 2021. Tarrio also created an encrypted messaging group for MOSD leaders, the MOSD Leaders Group, where MOSD leaders could communicate. On January 4th, Tarrio was arrested in Washington, D.C. and charged with destruction of property and possession of 2 large-capacity magazines in D.C. Superior Court. He was briefly detained after his arrest, and then he was released at 5 p.m. on January 5th, having been ordered to leave the District of Columbia. He did not immediately comply with the order to leave the D.C. After being turned away from the Phoenix Park Hotel, Tarrio traveled to a nearby underground parking garage where he met with Elmer Stewart Rhodes III, the founder and leader of the Oath Keepers, and other individuals known and unknown to the grand jury for approximately 30 minutes. During this encounter, a participant referenced the Capitol. Thereafter, Tarrio left the District of Columbia and traveled to Baltimore, Maryland. Subsequently, Tarrio's designated MOSD leaders and other individuals whose identities are known to the grand jury carried out the MOSD leadership's objective. Count 1, conspiracy to obstruct official proceedings. The introductory allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 24 are realleged and incorporated by reference as though set forth herein. So they're just saying that we're restating everything for these obstruction charges, and then here it goes. The conspiracy. From in and around December 2020 through in and around January 2021, in the District of Columbia and elsewhere, all of these defendants did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with each other and other persons known and unknown to the grand jury to corruptly obstruct, influence, and impede an official proceeding. The purpose was to stop, delay, and hinder the certification of the Electoral College vote. The manner and means carried out the conspiracy through the following manner and means, among others, by, and now I'm on page 9. A is encouraging members of the Proud Boys and others to attend the Stop the Steal protest in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. B is using websites, social media, and other electronic communications to raise funds to support travel and equipment purchases for the trip to Washington, D.C. C is obtaining paramilitary gear and supplies, including concealed tactical vests, protective equipment, and radio equipment for the January 6th attack. D is dressing incognito on January 6th rather than wearing Proud Boys colors that had been prominently displayed at previous events. E is traveling to D.C. prior to the January 6th attack. F is engaging in meetings and encrypted communications in Washington, D.C. in the days leading up to January 6th and on the morning of January 6th to plan for the January 6th attack. G is using programmable handheld radios, encrypted messaging applications, and other communications equipment to communicate and coordinate the January 6th attack. H is directing, mobilizing, and leading members of the crowd onto Capitol grounds and into the Capitol. I is dismantling metal barricades that had been deployed to demarcate a restricted area to protect law enforcement and occupants of the Capitol. J is storming past barricades. Capitol Police.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
Now, this is a good time to talk about this. Okay, so
sure.
So far he's using social messaging apps, a lot of them which are encrypted. They're saying that he had military gear, but what they state in here is that he had tactical vests and protective gear.
Yep.
Like, I don't consider that necessarily offensive material. Like, if I go to Antifa rally, which I have before for fun, right, to document, I wear a gas mask and armor. I had a viral video where I did that. Like, is that evidence, in your opinion, of trying to plan for trouble at an event, or is that a necessary and reasonable precaution to come to an event which is of national importance?
Could be either.
Like what out of here seems like out of the ordinary. Like, a lot of the stuff that's applying to him applies to a lot of the people that I know. Like, we go to the J6, we're communicating through Telegram. A lot of these telegrams are encrypted. This doesn't indicate there's any criminal intent going on with this. And the thing is that we're now on page 8.
Yep.
And so far it's basically like, oh, he's using an encrypted, messaging app, and they plan to go there and hold a rally to stop the steal. Okay, but where is the conspiracy to carry out an insurrection?
Yeah, we're getting there, right? So,
yeah,
but
let's get there.
Also to be clear, if I go to the store and I buy a bat and I drop it off at a friend's house, that's not a crime, okay? However, if I tell a friend, hey, I want you to go beat the shit out of John, I'm going to buy a bat and drop it off at your house, a criminal conspiracy involves the meeting of the minds of two or more people to do an illegal act, and then it requires a participant in a conspiracy to take one step towards the completion of that act. So the act in and of itself might not be illegal, but if there's been a meeting of the minds where people have agreed to commit a criminal act and you've taken steps towards it, then those steps do become aspects that
right,
you can
where's the intent for a criminal act right here? Because if they're just going and expressing their personal views, that doesn't seem like that's a criminal act. That seems like an expression of the First Amendment.
Well, I mean, so far, some of the things that we've read are crimes in and of themselves. Now, I don't know if that stronger conspiracy element has even been alleged yet, but we're still reading. We're on page 9, right?
Yeah.
So H was directing, mobilizing, and leading members of the crowd onto Capitol grounds and into the Capitol. I is dismantling metal barricades that have been deployed to demarcate a restricted area to protect law enforcement and occupants of the Capitol. J is storming past barricades, Capitol Police, and other law enforcement officers in efforts to disrupt the proceedings of the Capitol. K is destroying property, including a metal fence and a window. And HJK is assaulting law enforcement officers. Okay.
Which is what Ray Epps actually did. Like, he was the one that actually busted down those fences. And I don't have any video that I've seen where there's the Proud Boys that were doing that. And so it seems like they're projecting something that somebody else did on the Proud Boys. Now, I could be wrong, but I've never seen video of the Proud Boys engaging in this sort of destruction.
Well, I mean,
Anyways,
we literally have one of them was the first one who broke down the window, right? So also here, just real quick, we can take like a quick break if you want, because I've watched every single Ray Epps video online. If you want, go to 50 seconds, okay? Go to 50 seconds of this and we can start, and we can just watch like 20, it's like a 20-second watch, okay?
Is this the link you just posted?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Mm-hmm.
Okay, go to 50 seconds of this video, okay? And then we're gonna start at the same time, okay? 3, 2, 1, go.
You don't need to get shot.
Arrest us all.
So this is Ray Epps. We see him pulling a guy back at the fence here. He's talking to him, whispering something at him. You see the guy on the right that's pushing the barricade down. No part of this shows, look, you see Ray Epps, he's standing there. He's not pushing this down. It's all these guys. Okay, then we can pause. That's the initial breach that Ray Epps was a part of. The actual conspiracy alleged is that he was telling them to break it down. But I mean, he's just standing there. He's not breaking it down. We can see it very clearly in the video.
I mean, it looks like he's in a criminal conspiracy in order to breach a fence.
We don't have
he's
any.
Literally talking to the people.
Yeah, but we don't. But we don't know what he's saying, because he's saying that what he says is he told them to just calm down and stop being so violent, which you can hear him say to people in other videos as well. But I'm just saying we have no evidence of him planning or plotting anything. Like the FBI's investigated him.
I mean, Enrico Tarrio got 22 years in prison for not even being at the event. Ray Epps was actually talking to the guys that were breaching the barriers, and I've never seen any video of the Proud Boys as a group breaching any of these barriers. But now we're reading this indictment here saying that they're in a criminal conspiracy and actively breaking down the barriers. And
well,
so,
we got it. We have it. We can keep reading. We're only on page 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Also, keep in mind that one of the first guy that broke down the window to get in was a Proud Boy. The guy that stole the riot shield, that was a Proud Boy that he broke into the Capitol. It was the first one in. But page 10.
Yeah.
On December 19th, 2020, shortly after plans for the rally on January 6th were publicly announced, Biggs sent a private message to Tarrio in which he stated that the Proud Boys recruit losers who want to drink. Biggs suggested, let's get radical and get real men. The next day, on December 20th, Tarrio created an encrypted message group called MOSD, which included some of the people mentioned in the indictment. Person 1 was subsequently added to the message group for MOSD leaders, the MOSD leaders group. Tarrio explained that the MOSD was a national rally planning committee of the Proud Boys that would include hand-selected members. On December 20th, 2020, Person 3 posted a message to the MOSD leaders group that stated, I am assuming most of the protests will be at the Capitol building, given what's going on inside. In response, Tarrio proposed a video chat, which would take place on December 21st, to discuss the MOSD on January 6th. On December 26th, Tarrio announced that the leadership of the MOSD would reside in 2 three-man councils that would work together. The marketing council consisted of Tarrio, Biggs, and Nordine. The operations council included Person 3. Other members of MOSD leadership, such as Donahoe, Person 1, and Person 2, were designated regional leaders. On December 27th, Tarrio created another encrypted messaging group to recruit potential members of the MOSD Prospect Group. Tarrio stressed that members of the chapter were expected to follow directions of MOSD leadership, which Tarrio and others emphasized by telling members, among other things, to fit in or fuck off. On December 27th, Donahoe reposted a message to prospective members in the MOSD Prospect Group in which he stated that the D.C. government was expected to limit access to D.C. on January 6th. Donahoe's message stated they want to limit the president so that they can deny Trump has the people's support. We can't let them succeed. This government is run for the people, by the people. Congress needs a reintroduction to that fact. On December 27th, Nordine created an online crowdfunding campaign that solicited donations for protective gear and communications to be used by the Proud Boys on January 6th. Nordine shared a link to this crowdsourcing campaign on his social media page and encouraged others to share it on their social media page. On the 28th, Tarrio posted a message in which he stated that the DC trip would consist of 2 groups, the MOSD and everyone else, and that no one should be in colors. On December 29th, Tarrio posted a message on social media that the Proud Boys planned to turn out in record numbers on Jan 6, but this time with a twist. We will not be wearing our traditional black and yellow. We will be incognito, and we will be spread across downtown DC in smaller teams. And who knows, we might dress in all black for the occasion. At different times, Nordine, Biggs, Rail, and Donahoe reiterated that Proud Boys members should avoid wearing Proud Boys colors on January 6th. On December 29th, Tarrio posted a message to the MOSD Prospect Group to notify prospective members of a virtual meeting on December 30th to explain how this all works. Tarrio advised the group that the MO steel will have a top-down structure and advised prospects that if that's something you're not comfortable with, they should not bother attending the live session. Tarrio advised that upper-tier leadership would consist of a 3-person operations section led by Rail, person 3, and 1 other person. Tarrio advised that the marketing section would be led by Tarrio, Biggs, and Nordine. Tarrio advised that the second-tier leadership would consist of 8 regional members. On December 29th, Pizzola sent a direct message to Tarrio on an encrypted messaging system. Hey, boss, I'm one of the guys bringing the decorative shield down. I'll be in D.C. with a few other brothers from New York. On December 30th to 31st, Pizzola traveled to North and South Carolina to visit Person 1. Pizzola brought with him the decorative shield to present to Person 1. Between December 30th and December 31st, Tarrio communicated multiple times with an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury. On December 30th, this individual sent Tarrio a 9-page document titled 1776 Returns. The document set forth a plan to occupy a few crucial buildings in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, including House and Senate office buildings around the Capitol, with as many people as possible to show our politicians.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Now, why do you think that we don't know who this person is?
Which person?
This person that presented a plan to occupy the Capitol buildings. It's known to the grand jury, but it's not known to the public. Why do you think that is?
I don't know why they would. It could be that they're a protected person because they're witness protection. It could be some type of informant,
why would they
confidential
be protected?
informant.
Exactly. It sounds like what happened is that the person who actually planned this, that gave the plans to Tarrio, was actually an informant. Do you think that that is a possibility given the context of what we're seeing right here?
Even if that was the case, so what?
Well, that is very, very important if
Why?
That person is an informant, because this person is running an entrapment campaign.
Hold on. Entrapment is when law enforcement personnel induces you to commit a crime that you wouldn't have otherwise admitted. Or I'm sorry, that you wouldn't have otherwise committed. So for instance, if I walk up to you and I'm a cop and I try to sell you weed, or I try to give you a document to occupy a federal building, if you run and do it, that's not entrapment. Entrapment is if I tell you that you have to do this, or I pressure you to do it somehow. Also, we don't know if this person was always an informant, or maybe this person flipped after January 6th because he wasn't comfortable with how things turned out. We don't know at what point this
what
person...
you're getting right here is very probable evidence that this person, because he's remaining anonymous to this day, was actually an informant, and that he was the one that was actually giving plans to do this so-called occupation to Tarrio. It wasn't originating from Tarrio. It was being handed to him, and we don't know who he was.
Yeah, but we don't know if this person, we don't know if he was an informant from the start. He might have made a plea deal to keep his identity private because he agreed to plead to some lesser charge if he gives more information to help investigators.
So wait, so the person that's actually committing the crime would get a plea deal to somebody who's actually not committing the crime. Is that what your assertion is?
Well, wait, what crime is he not committing? What do you mean?
Well, right here, what we just see right here is that this unknown person is giving plans in order to literally occupy government buildings, which
just
is
to be
illegal.
clear for criminal liability. If somebody gives you a plan to do something illegal and you agree to the plan and then you help them carry it out, you've committed a crime. That's not entrapment.
We haven't established that he's actually agreed to do this.
We haven't.
Right
We're still reading. But also, we don't know. We don't know if person one that might have been authentically at the time bought into this. We have no idea. We don't know if he made a plea deal later. We don't know. We have no idea. But we can keep reading.
So Right, but right now we're on page 12, and so far the only criminal conspiracy that's being presented right now is from an unknown agent that we don't know who their identity is, who's giving a plan to Tarrio. But let's continue reading on. We're just on page 12.
To be clear, though, again, it doesn't matter. This plan could fall from the sky. A Shinigami, a god of death, could have dropped this into the human world just to see if a human would do some fuck shit, and if the human grabs it, he's still criminally liable. You can't do things... You can't do crimes because a cop told you to and then pretend that it was entrapment. They have to induce you into doing something you wouldn't ordinarily do. And clearly, they had all been planning on shit like this. It's not like this came out of nowhere.
He didn't do anything. But that's the thing. He didn't even do anything.
He hasn't yet. That's true. Yeah, he hasn't, but we'll see. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So on December 30th, this individual sent Tarrio a 9-page document titled 1776 Returns. The document set forth a plan to occupy a few crucial buildings in D.C. on J6, including House and Senate office buildings around the Capitol with as many people as possible to show our politicians that we the people are in charge. After sending the document, the individual stated, "The revolution is important than anything." Is more important than anything? I don't know. Tarrio responded, "That's what every waking moment consists of. I'm not playing games." On December 30th, Tarrio convened a video call for prospective members of the MOSD. Tarrio, Donahoe, and others in MOSD leadership emphasized that members of the MOSD were to follow the commands of leadership. Once again, Tarrio and others in MOSD leadership advised prospective members that they could fit in or fuck off. Ryle warned prospective members that J6 was going to be a completely different operation and that the Proud Boys would not be conducting a night march and flexing our arms and shit. On December 30th, Ryle posted a link to an online fundraiser with the campaign name of travel expenses for upcoming Patriot events. The campaign generated over $5,500 in donations between December 30th and January 4th. On December 31st, Tarrio posted a picture of Pizzola from the December 12th event in Washington, D.C. Along with the picture, Tarrio posted the message, Lords of War, hashtag J6, hashtag J20, which hashtags were an apparent reference to J6 2021, the date of the certification of the Electoral College vote, and January 20th, 2021, the date of the presidential inauguration. On January 1st, Tarrio posted separate messages on social media that read, let's bring this new year with one word in mind, revolt, and later, New Year's revolution. On January 2nd, Tarrio created an encrypted message group for recruits who had been accepted to become members.
Again, the person that is, we don't even know the identities of who is making these inflammatory statements, right? Like this, again, could be, since it's unknown and they're not telling us who said this could be anyone. It could even be informants that have been placed into this group in order to exercise in my words, an entrapment operation. But I just wanted to comment about
possible,
that.
but we don't know that. And also, again, nothing so far would have been even if it was law enforcement from the beginning, none of this is entrapment yet. If you give somebody a plan to do a crime and they follow through on it, that's not entrapment.
Well, he wasn't doing the crime. He was involved in a conspiracy.
Yeah, but Tarrio could have just said, thanks for the document, but we're not going to do this. We're not doing illegal shit like this. He could have just said that.
Well, he could have said that, and they omitted it in the ruling because this is a rigged court system, right? We don't know, right? So far, we've got a whole bunch of people that we don't know the identity of that are actually doing this incitement to violence. But let's continue.
Okay, well, that's okay. We'll keep continuing. Tarrio posted a message that read, open for business. The group included at least 65 members, including Tarrio, Nordine, Biggs, Ryle, Donahoe, and persons 1 through 3. Pizzola was subsequently added to the MOSD members group by person 1. On January 2nd, Tarrio provided Nordine with photographs of a family member's debit card so that Nordine could book his flights to Washington, D.C. Nordine used the debit card to book his flight. On January 3rd, members of the MOSD exchanged messages in the MOSD members group, various statements about attacking the Capitol. In response to the question, what would they do if 1 million patriots stormed and took the Capitol building, shoot into the crowd? I think not. Person 3 stated they would do nothing because they can do nothing. On January 3rd, as efforts to plan for J6 intensified in the MOSD leadership chat, Tarrio stated in the MOSD leaders group that he wanted to wait until January 4th to make final plans. In response at 7:10 p.m., person 3 posted a voice note to the MOSD leaders group in which he stated, I mean, the main operating theater should be out in front of the House of Representatives. It should be out in front of the Capitol building. That's where the vote is taking place and all the objections. So we can ignore the rest of these stages and all that shit and plan the operations based around the front entrance to the Capitol building. I strongly recommend you use the National Mall and not Pennsylvania Avenue, though. It's a wide open space. You can see everything coming from all angles. Ryle responded that the Capitol was a good start. On January 4th, Tarrio posted a voice note to the MOSD leaders group at 7:36 a.m., in which he stated, I didn't hear this voice note until now. You want to storm the Capitol. January 4th, within 1 hour of Tarrio's arrest, pursuant to a warrant issued by D.C. Superior Court, Donahoe created a new group on the encrypted messaging application for MOSD leadership that did not initially include Tarrio. Donahoe then advised the other leaders, each one of us should personally clear our history of that MOSD chat. Rail responded, you got to manually delete each message from each chat, and then added, since Tarrio knew the cops were for him, hopefully he logged out. The encrypted messaging service. Donahoe responded, well, at least they won't get our boots on ground plans because we are one step ahead of them. Donahoe then created a new group on the encrypted messaging application for the MOSD members and advised the group to leave the earlier group because we are nuking that one. Person 3 subsequently advised that he had removed everyone from the other group and that it had been nuked. After its creation, the new MOSD members group included approximately 90 participants in total, including Nordine, Biggs, Ryle, Donahoe, Pezzola, and persons 1 through 3. At 7:15 p.m. on January 4th, Donahoe posted a message on new MOSD members group that read, hey, have been instructed and listen to me real good. There is no planning of any sorts. I need to be put into whatever new thing is created. Everything is compromised and we could be looking at gang charges. Donahoe then wrote, stop everything immediately, and then, this comes from the top. Donahoe's message in the new MOSD members group repeated those posted by a participant in the MOSD members group. On January 4th at 8:20 p.m., person 2 posted a message in the new MOSD leaders group. We'd originally planned on breaking the guys into teams. Let's start divvying them up and getting Baofeng channels picked out. Baofeng is a manufacturer of handheld radios and other communications equipment. On January 5th, person 1 created a new encrypted messaging group entitled Boots on Ground to be used by Proud Boys members in Washington, D.C. In total, over 60 users participated in the Boots on Ground group, including Nordine, Biggs, Rail, Donahoe, Pesola, and persons 1 through 3. On January 5th at 5:25 p.m., Biggs posted a message to the Boots on Ground group that read, "Just trying to get our numbers so we can plan accordingly for tonight and go over tomorrow's plan." On January 5th, he posted a message, Biggs, "We're trying to avoid getting into any shit tonight. Tomorrow's the day. And then I'm here with Rufio and a good group." In response to a question from a participant in the new MOSD leaders group, Rael, who traveled to Washington, D.C. on January 5th, stated that he was bringing multiple radios with him and that there was a person who was planning to program the radios later that evening. At 8 p.m., Pesola posted a message on Boots on Ground that stated, "Anybody need comms programmed? Hit me up." On January 5th, an MOSD member who was in Washington, D.C. with Nordine and Biggs posted a message to new MOSD members group that read, "Everyone needs to meet at the Washington Monument at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Do not be late. Do not wear colors. Details will be laid out in the pre-meeting. Come out as patriot." The same message was posted by person 1 in the Boots on the Ground group. At 9:03 p.m., Rael notified Nordine, Biggs, Donahoe, and others that he had arrived in D.C. Donahoe responded by requesting one of the radios that Rael had brought. At 9:09, person 2 broadcast a message to new MOSD leaders group that read, "Stand by for the shared Baofeng channel and shared Zello channel. No colors, be decentralized, and use good judgment until further orders." Person 2 then stated, "Rufio, Nordine is in charge. Cops are the primary threat. Don't get caught by them or BLM. Don't get drunk until off the street." Person 2 then provided a specific radio frequency of 477.985. Donahoe reposted the same message in the new MOSD members group at 9:11 p.m. At 9:17, Biggs posted a message on the new MOSD leaders group that read, "We just had a meeting with a lot of guys. Info should be coming out." And then posted, "Just spoke with Enrique." At 9:20, person 1 added Tarrio to the new MOSD leaders group. At approximately 9:20, Biggs posted a message on the new MOSD leaders group that read, "We have a plan. I'm with Rufio." Donahoe responded, "What's the plan so that I can pass it to the MOSD guys?" Biggs responded, "I gave Enrique a plan, the one I told the guys, and he said he had one." At 9:36, Donahoe added Tarrio to the new MOSD members group. At 12:01 a.m. on January 6, Tarrio posted a message. At 12:03, Donahoe posted "Stand by" and then reposted the instructions that had been issued in the Boots on Ground group and the new MOSD members group regarding the plan to meet at the Washington Monument at 10 a.m. At 6:37 a.m. on January 6, Donahoe posted a message to the new MOSD leaders group that asked, "Are we going to do a commander's briefing before the 10 a.m.?" Subsequently, Donahoe posted a message to the new MOSD members group and Boots on Ground group that he was on his way to the Washington Monument. Donahoe added, "I have the keys until Rufio and Zach show up." On January 6th at 10 a.m., a group of approximately 100 Proud Boys members gathered near the Washington Monument. Consisting with the directive issued by Tarrio, Nordine, Biggs, Rael, Donahoe, and others, the group of men standing with them were not wearing Proud Boys colors of black and yellow. Several of the men in the group, including Biggs and Rael, were holding walkie-talkie style communications devices that members of the MOSD had helped secure. At different times, Nordine and Biggs carried and used a bullhorn to direct the group. Shortly after 10 a.m., Nordine and Biggs led the group away from the rally that was taking place near the Washington Monument to the west side of the Capitol. On arriving at the west side of the Capitol, Nordine and Biggs marched the group along 1st Street, northwest. Nordine and Biggs marched the group past the pedestrian entrance to Capitol grounds near the Peace Monument. The 1st Street pedestrian entrance was guarded by a handful of Capitol Police officers. Prominent signs posted on metal barricades at the pedestrian entrance and other locations stated "Area closed by order of the United States Capitol Police Board." Nordine and Biggs marched the group, which included Donahoe and Rael, to the east side of the Capitol and then back to the west side. Around 12 p.m., Donahoe posted a message on a separate encrypted group chat with Proud Boys in which he reported that the group was at the Capitol, and then later, "We are with 200 to 300 PBS." Proud Boys, I imagine. Yep. Shortly before 12:53 p.m., Nordine, Biggs, and Rael led the group back to the 1st Street pedestrian entrance near the Peace Monument. The entrance was secured by a small number of Capitol Police officers who were standing behind waist-height metal barriers. Biggs led the assembled crowd in a series of chants using a megaphone. Nordine, Rael, Donahoe, and Pesola stood nearby. Seconds before 12:53, Biggs was approached by an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury. The individual put one arm around Biggs' shoulder and spoke to him. Approximately 1 minute later, this individual crossed the barrier that restricted access to the Capitol grounds. This was the first barrier protecting the Capitol grounds to be breached on January 6th and the point of entry for Nordine.
Hold on.
Yep.
So hold on. So the person who actually breached the barriers is only known to the grand jury, but in this indictment or this ruling, they're not actually telling us who this individual was. And so again, what we have is we've got a person who's actually committing the criminal acts being completely unknown to anybody in the public, and the court is not releasing this. Like, do you see that seems a little suspect to you?
Their identity could be protected for any number of reasons, right? Like, they could have decided that they wanted to give information about this case, be as part of a plea deal. They could have come to the police afterwards to confess to some of this. Like, regardless
No. The thing is, you get immunity to get the people higher up that actually committed the crimes. You don't give immunity to the criminals to spill the beans on the people that didn't actually commit those crimes.
You absolutely can give immunity to people that committed. Why would you give immunity to people that haven't committed crimes?
No. You get it to get the people that committed more of the crimes. Like, you get a drug dealer, you give them immunity to get his supplier, right? Right now, what we have is we've got the inverse happening. We've got somebody who actually committed the crimes that's unknown to us that you are asserting likely.
So far, if what we're saying is that there was a huge conspiracy to lead the Proud Boys in a violent riot on January 6th, the big players here are going to be, one is the leader of the Proud Boys. Tarrio is literally the leader of the Proud Boys. It doesn't get any higher than him, right?
But with him, he didn't even originate the plan. It was some.
It doesn't matter. He's propagating it. He's coordinating it among all of these groups. That's why it's a conspiracy. All of the leadership.
There's no evidence in here. There's no evidence here that he actually did anything with the thing that somebody handed it to him, and that he got the message, but he's not sitting there and rebroadcasting the message.
He's literally gathering all these people together to commit these acts.
For a rally. That's the thing. They're doing.
But they're not doing a rally right now. It sounds like they're breaking into the Capitol right now.
They're not breaking into the Capitol. This unknown person who only is known to the jury, to the grand jury, is asserting that he's the one that broke into the Capitol, and that he put his arms around, what was it, Biggs, and that it spoke to him. Right. And then 1 minute later, the individual crossed the barrier that restricted access to the Capitol grounds. So Biggs didn't even break into the Capitol grounds. It was this unknown person who is only known to the courts that actually did the crime. Right. If anything, it would be Biggs.
First of all, we don't know
the immunity to out the guy that actually did the criminal act.
The entire group is breaching. It's not just one guy walking up alone.
Well, that's not what it says right here. It says that this individual crossed a barrier that restricted access to the Capitol grounds.
Yes, this was the first barrier protecting the Capitol grounds to be breached. This is the point of entry for all these other people.
Right. So it was this individual that breached the Capitol grounds, and that the other people, after the Capitol grounds was already breached.
It says in the next section, it says immediately after the breach, Nordine, Biggs, Rail, Donahoe, and Pizzola, together with assembled members of the crowd, charged towards the Capitol by crossing over the barriers meant to restrict access to the Capitol grounds.
Right, which is what happened with a lot of the other people, that it wasn't just them. They didn't commit the act of the initial trespassing. It was this unknown guy that breached the barrier, and then after the barrier was down and a lot of people started going through it,
this doesn't say they went through after a lot of people. These were the first people through. That's what this says. It says immediately after. These were the first people. This was the first.
But we have video of that actually happening. Is that the barrier was breached, and then a lot of people. It was a whole mad dash. There was a whole bunch of people that breached that barrier after the barrier had been already breached by this unknown individual that is only known to the court. But let's continue.
Okay, nothing that you've said, even if I were to grant you every single point, that still makes these guys all elements of a criminal conspiracy. It's all still a crime. Just because the guy in front of you broke in first doesn't mean that you're not committing the crime of
trespassing. Trespassing right now at this point. At the very worst, it's trespassing. Maybe a misdemeanor.
Well, it depends on what your plans were.
I mean, breaching a fence is a little bit different than crossing a fence that's already been breached when there's a crowd going through said breach.
First of all, correct? I have never heard that in my entire life. If I was around with friends, if we broke into some store and cops caught us, you would never say, well, he broke in first and then I followed him. If there's a burglary of a house and like 3 people break in, do you think the first guy that breaks in is treated more harshly than the 2 that followed him?
Absolutely, yes.
That's not true. No, absolutely not. You're all going to be charged with trespassing.
Sure, you would charged with trespassing, but the person that did it first is going to be charged with breaking and entering.
And the other 3 wouldn't be. You think only one person in any breaking and entering can be charged? There's only ever one person charged at a time?
Yeah,
you don't think all people that are.
The person that does the most crime is the one that gets hit with the hardest charges. That's how this works.
That's not always true. I mean,
the person with the most criminal activity is actually unknown to the public. But it's the people that followed him in are getting charged with the criminal conspiracy to disrupt a public proceeding, right?
Let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find the video footage of the first gate to come down. Apparently, this person, one guy, is called Ryan Samsel. Is there a video of like, was it the Ray Epps video that we watched? Is this the very first gate that goes down?
I believe it was, yes. I haven't seen any other gate that went down publicly
Ryan
on video.
Samsel
I believe that this was the first thing. And Ray Epps was right there talking to the guy
during the deadly insurrection
who looks like he was inciting him or giving him instructions in order to breach the gate.
Okay, well, in that case, if this is the very first video, here, I'll link it again. If this is, that's Biggs on the left.
February 6th.
Wait, is that Biggs on the left? I don't remember what this guy looks like. If this is the very first video, it's not just one guy breaking down the barricade. It's all of them. All of them are pushing it at the same time, right?
All right, where's Biggs then? Where's Biggs? Is he up there? Can we identify him? Because they didn't identify him in the indictment or in the ruling. Is this an indictment or a ruling?
This is just the indictment.
Yeah, this is the indictment. Right. And nowhere in this indictment does it even say that he was the one that breached it. It said that he entered into a barrier that had been breached.
Sure, but I mean, like, if we look at the video, like, all of them are going in at the same time. This is all
together with assembled members of the crowd charged towards the Capitol by crossing over the barriers meant to restrict access to the Capitol grounds. So they're with a crowd of people that are going in after the barriers have been breached by this unknown assailant.
Right? Hold on, wait. The video that I just sent you, and this is the same thing with the there's Ray Epps. Okay, all of these people would be charged the same. You're not going to get a worse charge just because you happen to be pushing more heavily. All of you are going to be charged with trespassing, breaking, entering.
They're all breaking and entering. They're all guilty of breaking and entering right there. And in my opinion, so is Ray Epps, because it looks like he's actually inciting them. But in this indictment, they're not mentioning at all that Biggs had anything to do with that breaching of the barrier. He just came in along with assembled members of the crowd, was charged towards the Capitol for crossing over the barriers meant to restrict access to the Capitol. So he came in after the barrier was breached.
It doesn't matter. I don't know how else to...
It does, because it falls in line with my thesis that these were informants, that this was a Fedsurrection, that they're the ones that did the violence. They're the ones.
I don't know how to. Okay, well, if you want, we can bring on a criminal lawyer if you ever want to have him like come and give his opinion. But if you're with a group of friends and somebody breaks into a house and all of you go in, all of you are going to get charged with breaking and entry. It's not just going to be the one guy that broke in, and then the rest of you are just like, oh, like
the guy who broke in is going to get this hardest slap. Absolutely.
You have no 100%. Idea if that's true or not.
That's typically how it goes. Why would your hypothetical?
When you say that's typically how it goes, like, can you give me an example of this ever being the case? Because you say that's typically how it goes. I'm not aware of this ever being the case.
What, that the person that's breaking down the barrier gets the same charges as the people that crossed over a broken barrier?
That like the very first guy that breaks into a place gets worse charges than everybody else who's like right next to him.
I have to bring up an example.
Well, you said that's usually how it goes, and I'm not aware of that ever being the case.
I mean, that seems like common sense that the person that's breaking down a barrier gets the most charges, and the people that fall in afterwards with a crowd of people gets a reduced charge, right? I mean, can we just agree that that's common sense?
No, that's not common sense at all. No, of course not.
If you're within a crowd, it's not common sense. Okay.
I'm trying to see if I can look anything quickly up about this. Like, you would all be charged with breaking and entry, obviously. Like, you're all at least if you like all planned to do it and everything. Like, you're of course.
So the guy that broke the entry would get immunity to rat on the people that crossed the barrier after he broke it.
Hold on. What do you think? Wait. What do you think immunity is given for?
Immunity is given to get people that committed bigger crimes. It goes up. If you commit a lesser crime, you get immunity for ratting out the people that committed the bigger crime.
Why? But give me why. Why do you think? Why would you give somebody immunity?
The drug lord doesn't get immunity to ratting out the street dealers. That's your assertion right now. And that's what I see right here, is that the person who's actually committing the breach is getting the immunity to rat out the people that didn't breach the barrier, but merely went through it with the crowd.
Why?
It doesn't make any sense
I'm
to
asking
me.
you why. Why would you give an immunity to a small guy to get a big guy? What, like, the point of giving immunity is for?
Really, is that your question? Why would you give immunity to a big guy? Like this is the big guy. Like,
Okay.
are we really having
okay.
a discussion?
Sure. The reason
on this part.
Sure. The reason why you give immunity is because you feel like you might not have enough to either build 100% like a case on the information you have now, or because you think that if this guy flips and you give him some immunity, he will give you information on other crimes that have been committed potentially, right? It's kind of what you said. But
So far, the guy who presented plans for the occupation of the Capitol, he gets immunity for ratting out the guy who received his plans but didn't do anything with it. And now,
wait, hold on, wait. To be clear,
yeah.
to be clear, if I were to go to the leader, who is the big bad guy here? Let's say that there is a gang, and the gang is called the Big Murder Gang, okay? Let's say that I know the leader of the Big Murder Gang. Let's say that I have a plan, and this is the plan called Kill 20,000 People, all right? And I'm just a guy, and I've got this plan on the internet. It's like, this is a great plan. Let's say that I go give the plan Kill 20,000 People to the leader of Big Murder Gang, and then the leader of Big Murder Gang, who has all the credibility, all the leadership structure, all the respect, orders Big Murder Gang to go and execute plan Kill 20,000 People. Who's the most culpable person there?
Right, but that doesn't apply to here because the people that are actually doing it are unknown people to us that are only
they're only there because Enrico Tarrio and all these other guys are all implicating and implementing these plans and these other people. They're telling people, show up, bring radios, bring no uniforms, like, we're going to coordinate, be part of our teams, we're leading you.
We're going to go to, but there's no evidence that they're actually inciting anyone to actually do anything illegal. They're saying that we need to go to a rally and wear protective gear, talk on encrypted text messages, and none of that seems like it's actually illegal. It seems that everyone that's doing something illegal is actually unknown to us in the public.
So if that was the case and these guys don't end up doing anything illegal, maybe, but now you're in a really big, like, you're in a lot of trouble because now you are doing illegal things like trespassing, which is illegal. And you've got a whole plan and scheme to have a whole bunch of people show up here with a whole bunch of gear outside of uniforms with a whole coordinated leadership system, right? And now you've committed one illegal act. That's pretty scary. You're implicating yourself in a lot of really bad ways. And again, we can keep reading to find out more of what was going on. But like,
maybe we'll get a surprise. I mean, this seems very minor in comparison to what I've seen at these Antifa rallies that literally destroy public property and they get away with it. These people are merely trespassing. I'm not going to buy that trespassing is something that's worthy of 22 years. I mean, if anything, this would be at the very worst steel manning this argument. It seems that this is a conspiracy to trespass on Capitol grounds at the very strongest. Which I would
strongest, it's a conspiracy to trespass on Capitol grounds. Yes. During the certification of the election. That's what makes it
the very worst.
But that's steel manning. But that's the indictment. It's the steel man. What you just said was the indictment. Yes.
But they're getting them on conspiracy for insurrection.
Well, no, it was obstructing an official proceeding, right? Insurrection. Well, it's not insurrection. It's seditious conspiracy. But obstructing the official proceeding. How would you do that? Well, you would do it by trespassing on Capitol grounds using violence on the certification vote day. Like, yes, that would be the obstructing of the.
But we don't see them actually committing any violence here. The people that are committing the violence are the people that are actually yet still unknown to us, which falls with my thesis.
That's fine, but nothing about trespassing or obstruction requires violence, and we're only on page 19. We've got a little bit to go yet, right?
Okay, let's keep on going then. Okay.
So immediately after the breach, Nordine, Biggs, Rail, Donahoe, and Pezzola, together with assembled members of the crowd, charged towards the Capitol by crossing over the barriers meant to restrict access to the Capitol grounds. Nordines, Biggs, Rail, Donahoe, and Pezzola, and other members of the crowd advanced towards the west plaza of the Capitol, where additional metal barricades and law enforcement were deployed to protect the Capitol and its occupants from the advancing crowd. As Biggs unlawfully advanced towards the Capitol, he recorded himself stating, "Dude, we're right in front of the Capitol right now. American citizens are storming the Capitol, taking it back right now. There's millions of people out here. This is f***ing crazy. Oh my God, this is such history. This is insane. We've gone through every barricade thus far. You." So that's a little bit problematic because you've admitted to the crime of trespassing at the least, but okay.
Right.
Within minutes of unlawfully crossing onto Capitol grounds, Nordines, Biggs, Rail, Donahoe, and Pezzola and other Proud Boys members moved to the front of the crowd. Nordine and Biggs, together with other members of the crowd, tore down a black metal fence that separated the crowd from law enforcement. After tearing down the fence, Nordine, Biggs, Rail, Donahoe, and Pezzola, and many others who had been led by Nordine and Biggs to the Capitol, advanced past the trampled barrier into the West Plaza of the Capitol grounds. Upon arriving at the West Plaza, Nordine, Biggs, Rail, Donahoe, and Pezzola positioned themselves at or near the front of the crowd in the West Plaza. While standing at the front of the crowd opposite law enforcement in riot gear, Nordine and Biggs exchanged a hug and handshake. While standing in the West Plaza of the Capitol, Biggs took another video in which he announced, "We've just taken the Capitol." Shortly after 1 p.m., messages were posted by Person 1 and Person 2 in the new MOSD leaders group that stated, "Push inside, find some eggs and rotten tomatoes," and "They deployed the mace yet?" Donahoe posting, "We are trying." Pezzola moved towards the front of the police line and ripped away a Capitol police officer's riot shield while the officer was physically engaging with individuals who had gathered unlawfully into the West Plaza of the Capitol. Donahoe threw 2 water bottles at a line of law enforcement officers engaged in the lawful performance of their official duties.
Hold on, can we go back to 85 because it looks like they're trying to do word play right now, right? They're saying, find some eggs and rotten tomatoes, right? So person 1, person 2, again, are posting, pushed inside, find some rotten eggs and rotten tomatoes. Right? Again, it's the anonymous people that are inciting people to commit criminal acts, right? And that these people are also saying they deployed the mace yet. And Donahoe posted, "We are trying." Now, was that a response to that? Because what it said is that they didn't actually say that that's what he replied. What they're saying that that's what he posted. So was that immediately as a reply? Was that 1 minute later? Like, we don't have the evidence, and they're not trying to even say that he's posting this as a reply, right? Like, all of this inflammatory stuff, again, is coming from
Even if to be
people.
clear, even if I granted you every single fact that all the violence was initially instigated by these other 2 guys, that's still, all of them would still be charged with the exact same crimes. That doesn't matter. If somebody tells you, "Hey, go beat the shit out of that dude," and you walk up and do it, you can't say, "That guy told me to do it." You might get the worst charge there. That guy might be charged with conspiracy for a particular crime to
85 in point 85. The only thing that Donahoe posted is "We are trying." Now it doesn't even connect this with the statement that these anonymous person 1, person 2, which I allege are probably informants.
Maybe we don't know. We don't know that.
We don't know. But the thing is that with this indictment, they usually try to post the worst possible version. They try to straw man the argument as most as they can. And even in the straw man argument, they're not actually saying that he's replying to these people. They're trying to associate them as being tied together, but they're not actually using the language that would imply that that is actually true, that "we are trying" has anything to do with push inside, find some eggs and rotten tomatoes. They deployed the mace yet. Now, is that a statement or is that a question? Because I've seen a couple statements that look like they actually should belong as questions, right? Like, who's deploying the mace yet? Is it the Proud Boys that are deploying the mace yet, or is it the police that are deploying the mace yet? Right?
Sure.
Right? Like,
let me just as a quick thing, okay? So let me just write down a couple things and see if we agree or disagree, okay?
Okay.
So we agree that Tarrio was presented with a plan to occupy federal property, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. By
Tarrio and others.
Anonymous.
Sure, it doesn't matter, but he was presented with this plan. Tarrio and others organized the Proud Boys in the week leading up to January 6th, right? He told them to buy
or
shit.
Rally.
They did it, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, just Jan 6. It doesn't
general,
need violent, right? Well, you agree all of this, right?
But in the general, not in any specific plan. He didn't actually have a plan until apparently they were going to defer it until, at least 2 days before the event actually took place, right?
Okay, sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Proud Boys, were organized and ready at 10 a.m. on the Jan 6 morning, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The Proud Boys were among the very first people at the first breach into Capitol grounds, correct?
But yeah, we also agree that they actually didn't breach it. It was this anonymous person.
No, we watched the video. We can watch it again if you want. All of them are breaching it together. It's not just one guy pushing the fence over.
We don't know. We haven't identified any of them as being a Proud Boys person. As far as I know, those people, most of those people that actually breached are still unknown to this day.
Well, you said that with the very first guy that breached into the Capitol, and we looked that up and found out that was actually one of the guys in this indictment.
Yeah, there is one person that we know that actually was responsible for violence, right? But none of these people right here. It seems like they're the ones that actually breached the thing. We got Biggs, Donahoe, right? Like, it looks like they possibly breached the second barrier after they got in. It seems a little bit, it seems a little suspect, and I may even give that that's actually what they did.
Okay,
right?
well, I mean, we have a message from him where he's literally tweeting out or posting on He's literally posting on social media admitting to, like, we're crossing the barricade, we're trespassing, we own the Capitol, right?
The people are, yes. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're trespassing, we've broken over the barricade, right? We own the Capitol, right?
Yes.
Up to this point, okay.
But did he actually own the Capitol, or was that just a term of saying? Like, they hadn't actually entered into the Capitol building, so was it actually true that he owned the Capitol building?
Well, it wasn't. He said that I'm sorry, he said we've just taken the Capitol, right?
But had they actually done that?
Not yet. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So just curious. So up to this point, okay, we've agreed on all these facts, okay? You think that they haven't done anything that bad yet?
I think that they've trespassed. I don't think it was seditious conspiracy for an insurrection, which is what your thesis is.
Okay. Up to this point, what has Ray Epps done?
He's incited people to go into the Capitol because that's where
Wait. What did he do exactly?
He incited.
What did he do? You said excited. What do you mean by that? What did he do?
He specifically gave people instructions to commit a criminal act.
Wait, where? When?
To go into the Capitol building. He said that in front of Baked Alaska the night before.
The night before. He said, we need to go into the Capitol, right?
Into the Capitol, right, which was restricted grounds. That's where problems lie. We need to go into the Capitol. That's an official proceeding. Any reasonable person would expect that the doors would be locked and that they would not have access.
Anything else?
He was also, it looks like he was in a conspiracy to break down the barriers because he went up, talked to the person that actually breached the barrier, and it appeared to give him instructions right before that guy then went ahead and breached the barrier.
But you don't think that any of the Proud Boys were in a conspiracy to break the barrier?
I don't have any evidence from this indictment that they were, because what it says right here in the indictment is that the person spoke to Biggs, and then that guy went ahead, and not Biggs, but the guy who spoke to him went and breached the barrier.
So we have no evidence that Ray Epps gave orders to anybody, right? We see him whisper something in a video. The people that break down the barrier aren't even the guy that he's whispering to, right? We have no evidence that Ray Epps said.
But it's inverted, because in Ray Epps's case, he talked to the guy, and then the guy immediately broke the barrier. In this other case,
wait. You keep saying that. Hold on. Wait. To be clear, we can watch the video again if you want. The guy that Ray Epps talks to is not the guy that broke the barrier down, right? It's like, I think it's like the people to the side that are like breaking the barrier down. Like the barrier is like basically already. Here, we can open it again. Let me open it. Let me check. Let me watch.
Nope, I see it. He's breaking the guy that Ray Epps talks to. He's at 2:20. He's clearly got his hands on the barrier, which means that he's part of the group that is breaching the barrier.
Oh wait, never mind. You're right. You're right. He is. Okay.
Yeah.
He is. So okay. Wait.
Yeah.
He is. Wait. But as he's talking to him, right? So wait, because your original claim was that he's giving orders to break the barrier down, right? As he's talking to him, though, right? And we can look at 1 second of the video. People are already breaking the barrier down, right?
They're putting their hands on it, but they don't actually start pushing the barrier and attempting to breach it.
Wait. At 1 second, the barrier is already halfway knocked over. When you go at 1 second, while he's talking to this guy, the barrier is already broken down, basically, or at least it's like pushed like almost halfway.
They're pushing against the barrier. I wouldn't call this breaching action.
You wouldn't call pushing a barrier breaching action?
I mean, I've seen Antifa rallies. They push against barriers all the time, but it wasn't until Ray Epps at 2:20 talks to the guy. That's when they actually physically go and break the barrier. It happens right after. Ray Epps talks to the guy. He puts his hands on the barrier, and then that's when they breach it, right? Where it's inverted with Biggs.
How is it that Ray Epps whispering to this one guy is giving all of them orders or the ability for all like 20 people at this barrier to push at the same time?
I'm saying it has the appearance that he's doing that. We don't know.
I don't think it doesn't even have that appearance. There's a whole bunch of people here.
In this indictment, they're holding a lower standard of evidence. The guy who broke the barrier came and talked to Biggs. Was it that the action wasn't inverted like it was with Ray Epps? The guy who broke it talked to Biggs. We can't, and because of that, we have to give him more of the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't Biggs that told him you need to break down the barrier.
Well, hold on. Their charges aren't just for breaking down this one barrier, right? That's not what they're being charged with a crime for. I'm just showing you that there's a wildly different standard of evidence we're using here. We have absolutely no evidence that Biggs is saying or doing anything illegal here. Right? We have no evidence of that whatsoever. And we can see that there are like even if Ray Epps hadn't said anything to this guy in the hat, the barrier probably still would have been broken down, right? There's all these people on the right and left that they're all pushing, right? We don't know.
Maybe we don't know. It with Ray Epps, it looks like he is part of a conspiracy to breach the barrier.
Ray Epps, sorry.
And in this indictment, we have less evidence that that's true at all, because it's the actor that broke the barrier who is unknown to us still.
Wait, you keep saying you're saying one guy who broke the barrier. Again, just go for it in the video. It's like 20 people breaking this barrier. It's not just one guy. It's like a whole bunch of people.
Right, but in this indictment, it's talking about this unknown agent, which is only known to the grand jury, is the person who took action to break down the barrier. Not
wait, but the indictment isn't saying that it was a one individual who did it alone, right?
Right, it's not saying that.
It says that approximately 1 minute later, the individual crossed the barrier that restricted access to the Capitol grounds. This is the first barrier protecting the Capitol grounds to be breached, and the point of entry for the indicted people. But they're not saying that one guy broke it down on his own, right? This barrier is being broken down by all of these people here.
Which Nordine and Biggs are not exactly participants in that. Can we agree with that? They're not participants. It doesn't have the appearance that they even.
It doesn't sound like they're. Well, I don't know about instructed, but it doesn't. It's they weren't part of the people with their hands on it initially, for sure. Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And it doesn't appear that they were actually at the front of the line. Like, it doesn't even say what their location. Were they right next to the barrier like Ray Epps was?
Well, close enough that immediately after they were able to walk through, right? And they're literally on video with themselves saying, we've taken the Capitol, storming in, right? And it says that they physically broke the second barrier down. It alleges that in the indictment, that they broke the second one down, right?
Because it's interesting. I've gotten to Antifa things. I stand behind them when they try to break stuff down and video record it, because it's exciting and it's fun, but I don't actually participate in any criminal activity.
Sure, that's fine, but these guys are like on video alleging they're in criminal activity. They're literally saying,
right, we like here's a video right up front where the barrier's being broken down. Where's Biggs? Where's Nordine? Are they within 5 feet? Are they within 1 feet? Are they 20 feet back? We don't know. But Ray Epps, we know he was right there at the barrier. So let's use at least a relative standard of evidence, right? Like, well,
hold on, wait. The evidence isn't trying to prove that he was the very first one in. It's alleging an entire conspiracy to direct people and order people to do all of this, right?
Which the indictment fails to actually paint them as, active participants in this, because all the active participants seem to be coincidentally anonymous.
Okay, I don't know. The fact whether or not he is or isn't anonymous doesn't change any of the facts laid out so far in the indictment. Like, it's like, why is Pelosi?
Well, you said, you're like, it makes sense that these people that are actually doing the crimes are given immunity for the people that were not, right? Because you're like, well, they're trying to go after the kingpins. Well, it looks like the people actually doing the crimes were the people that got the immunity. That doesn't make any sense at all to me.
The big crime here is the entire group of people. It's not one guy trying to break down a barrier. The big issue here are the hundreds of Proud Boys of all the people that had gathered prior to coordinate this break-in. It's not just one guy pushing it back. It's not a big crime. Who cares? It would just be.
But the people that did the break-in, we don't even know their names. So how could we tie them to the Proud Boys?
Well, we do know that these guys. Well, we see everything laid out before this, and we see them breaking down the second barrier.
We're trying to transmogrify a conspiracy to be at a rally and possibly trespass with a conspiracy for insurrection. Like, do you see the problem?
Well, hold on. No one here is charged.
That actually did it.
This isn't an insurrection charge, right? It was a seditious conspiracy. But so far, right, we've seen them breaking down barriers. They broke down a barrier. They were here, like, plotting and leading. It's not like any of them are saying, none of them are, right? You acknowledge they broke down the second barrier, right?
I wouldn't say the Proud Boys broke down the barrier. I would say that the people that we don't get to know who broke down the barrier, coincidentally broke down the barrier.
It says Nordine and Biggs, together with other members of the crowd, tore down a black metal fence that separated the crowd from law enforcement.
Second time, and yes. I will yield that. Yeah, okay. I will yield that. That says in the indictment that they did that, and I will assume that this is true for the subject of the debate.
Okay, yes. Sure. So, and they're all moving through, right? So.
Right.
And this is a group of people that you're leading and commanding. You've established commandership roles. You've talked about this and planned this in advance for a long time. It seems like things are proceeding as they planned. It's not like any of them are exchanging messages saying, oh shit, people getting violent. Oh no, somebody broke through. Oh shit, we need to pull our people back. Things are getting out of hand. Instead, they're advancing forward and taking videos saying, we've just taken the Capitol.
Right. Yes, they said that, and that looks bad. But I don't see how this seems to be a conspiracy where they actually, in advance, plan to take or occupy any buildings or breach any fences. It looks like somebody else.
Well, except where Tarrio was given plans. Tarrio was given plans to occupy federal buildings, and then is coordinating with all of these people, saying that
So if a federal agent hands me plans to bomb a building and I throw it in the garbage and don't do anything with it, and then it actually happens, is that my fault?
No, but if it
Especially
gives
when
you
all
a
the
plan to
people-
bomb a building and then you work with a group of people and eventually these groups of people bomb a building, yeah, you're going to be charged with conspiracy to plan a bombing at a building. Yeah.
Well, then if that's the case, we better know who actually bombed the building. You can't give immunity to the person that bombed the building and charge everybody else with sedition.
I mean, it depends. The guy who bombs the building might not even be the most important guy, right?
Why? Why wouldn't he be the person that would be the most important guy?
Because it's
The guy who
probably
bombed the building.
It's probably easier to be like a guy that plants a bomb than it is to be the guy that plans the entire event of creating, delivering, and then like having a guy plant the bomb, right?
Yeah, but they weren't the ones that created the plan. It was some unknown person that was only known to the grand jury that planned this so-called, occupying of the buildings, right? Like at every single point where they could have nailed them with a plan to commit this, it turns out that, it's unknown agents that remain anonymous to the public. What a coincidence.
It doesn't matter
Every single
though.
time.
Like if
It
we found out that some guy gave Osama bin Laden, plans for the fucking 9/11 shit, it doesn't matter. He arranged all of it. He organized all of it. Like there might be one more person you'd also want to hold responsible, maybe. But like it would still
maybe Donald Rumsfeld, who helped facilitate it.
Okay,
Or maybe the
my
people
bad.
in
That was a
Broward
bad
County
example. I
that
should've
helped.
read
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Let's start again at, so 86, we're almost done, okay? Pizzola moved towards the front of the police line and ripped away a Capitol Police officer's riot shield, while the officer was physically engaging with individuals who had gathered unlawfully into the West Plaza of the Capitol. Donahoe threw 2 water bottles at a line of law enforcement officers engaged in the lawful performance of their official duties who were attempting to prevent the mob's advance in the West Plaza at the Capitol. Shortly thereafter, Donahoe and Pizzola combined to carry the riot shield through the West Plaza. After reaching the rear of the concrete area of the West Plaza, Donahoe posted a message at 1:37 that read, "Got a riot shield." While standing at the rear of the plaza, Donahoe took a picture of Pizzola holding the riot shield and making a hand gesture associated with the Proud Boys. Around the same time, Nordine, Biggs, and Rail moved to the rear of the West Plaza as well. Nordine, Biggs, and others then moved further away onto the lawn of the Capitol, where at 1:27 p.m., Biggs filmed a selfie-style video with Nordine and others who had marched with them to the Capitol, in which Biggs declared, "So, we just stormed the fucking Capitol, took the motherfucking place back. That was so much fun." Biggs then added, "January 6th will be a day in infamy." Shortly before 2 p.m., Nordine and Biggs had moved back toward the Capitol and were near a set of concrete stairs that led to the upper west terrace of the Capitol. Donahoe and Pizzola had also moved to the same area at the base of the stairs. Donahoe pushed forward to assist the crowd's effort to advance up the concrete stairs towards the Capitol. The crowd overwhelmed law enforcement, who were attempting to stop the crowd from advancing. Biggs and Pizzola traveled up the stairway with the crowd. At the top of the flight of stairs leading from the West Plaza to the Capitol, Pizzola shouted at Capitol Police officers attempting to prevent the crowd from advancing further, words to the effect of, "We ain't stopping, we ain't fucking stopping, fuck you, you think Antifa's fucking bad, just you wait," among other things. At approximately 2:13, Pizzola used the riot shield he had taken from a Capitol Police officer to break a window of the Capitol. The first members of the mob entered the Capitol through the broken window. Seconds later, Pizzola entered the Capitol through the window he had broken. Other members of the mob entered the building and forced upon an adjacent door from the inside. Biggs entered the Capitol through the adjacent door with other MOSD members. Within minutes, the Senate suspended the certification of the Electoral College vote. Biggs subsequently exited the Capitol on the east side of the building, and Biggs and several other Proud Boy members posed for a picture at the top of the steps on the east side of the Capitol. Biggs also took a video in which he surveyed the crowd and then stated, "We've taken the Capitol." At 2:36 p.m., Tarrio made a public post on social media that read, "After I finish watching this, I'll make a statement about my arrest, but for now I'm enjoying the show. Do what must be done. Hashtag we the people." Remember, he's tweeting this as the leader of the Proud Boys. Nordine entered the Capitol at 2:37 p.m., where he reunited with other Proud Boys members who had entered the building with Biggs. At 2:38, Tarrio made a public post on social media that read, "Don't fucking leave." At approximately 2:30, wait, you acknowledge at this point that Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, was tweeting publicly for people to continue with criminal actions, right? They had broken and trespassed. They were in an area that they weren't supposed to be, committing crimes. They had already publicly tweeted that they were committing crimes. And now Tarrio, as their leader, both in these private chats and the leader publicly of the organization, is now publicly telling them to continue committing the crime, right?
Yeah, breaking and entering or trespassing. Yeah.
Okay.
Not insurrection. They're not armed. They got shields and protective vests and radios.
So insurrection.
That's not insurrection.
Doesn't require you to be armed. They're not charged with insurrection. However, like 214, the certification of the Electoral College vote has already been announced. So if they're trying to obstruct an official proceeding, that's already happened, and they all know that. That's all been publicly announced, right?
Right.
So. At approximately 2:39, Tarrio responded to a question posed by a Proud Boys member. Are we a militia yet? With a one-word voice note in which Tarrio stated, yep. Tarrio then posted 2 additional messages that stated, make no mistake, and then, we did this, ... At 2:40 p.m., 30 minutes after first entering the Capitol on the west side, Biggs and others forcibly re-entered the Capitol through the Columbus doors on the east side of the Capitol, pushing past at least one law enforcement officer and entering the Capitol. After re-entering the Capitol by force, Biggs and other Proud Boys he had entered with traveled to the Senate chamber where the certification of the Electoral College vote would have been occurring had it not been suspended due to the ongoing attack. At 2:41, Tarrio made a public post on social media that read, proud of my boys and my country. Ryle entered the Capitol at approximately 2:53 through the same door first entered by Biggs on the west side of the building. While Nardine and Biggs were moving in and out of the Capitol, Tarrio attempted to communicate with them by phone. Tarrio placed a phone call to Nardine at 2:53 and then to Biggs at 2:54. Biggs had a 42-second call with Tarrio at 2:54 p.m. At 2:57, Tarrio posted a message on social media that read 1776, and then, revolutionaries are now at the Rayburn Building, which referred to a House of Representatives office building that had been referenced in the 1776 returns plan received by Tarrio on December 30th. At 11:16 p.m., Tarrio posted a message on social media that featured a video of a masked man resembling Tarrio, wearing a flowing black cape, standing in front of a deserted Capitol. The video was captioned, Premonition. Okay. I mean, there are, let's see, these are different counts of, these are all the same counts, incorporating the same facts, all applying to the last facts that we just read. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, so he made some social media posts of an event that was already happening. And it looks like, but we don't have any.
Wait, he made social media posts of crimes that were being committed by an organization that he was a leader of, that he was in private groups leading.
Well, it seems decentralized. Like, are they all taking? I mean, there's nothing in here where there's actually a plan to take the Capitol. It seems like it all just sort of happened randomly. Like someone breached the Capitol, they followed him.
To be clear, hold on. Nothing happened randomly. They met at 10 a.m. like they said, with all of the equipment they said that they needed. They went around to find a place that they could break into. They found a place to break into, walked through, posted on social media about it, found a second barrier to break through. They walked through it. They posted on social media about it. One of the guys stole a riot shield so that they could break into the building, which they did. They managed to stall the certification of the vote, which was the goal. And then Tarrio noticed all of this and was tweeting in support of them. Yeah.
Let me add some context. All right. Are you aware that the magnetic locks of the door were unlocked?
This would be really important if they just opened the door and walked in and they didn't break into the window with a stolen riot shield.
Well, that did happen in one window, but
that was the first entrance into the Capitol building. The very first entrance was them breaking in with a riot shield that they stole.
Did they breach the magnetic locks, or was that done by a centralized command unit?
Doesn't matter if they did that. The first entrance.
Why not?
Because the very first entries into the Capitol building were these people who had gotten a riot shield, who were executing the plan that they had meant to from the very beginning. This was the plan from the very start, as evidenced by the document given, the document followed through on, the references to the document, the placement of the Proud Boys in every area, the fact that they had gathered at 10 a.m. with their people, with their equipment, the fact that they were at the first point of breach, the fact that they admitted to breaking down the second point of breach, the fact that they asked for a riot shield to have the initial breach into the Capitol building, the fact that all of them followed into the Capitol building, and the fact that the leader of their organization the entire time was tweeting out support for them with exact references and explicit references made to the plan that was presented to him to have this exact occupation occur. All of this was happening as planned by the leadership. Like every single thing is laid out in crystal clear conspiracy, like from start to finish.
No, except he wasn't actually the one that made the plan. Someone handed it to him. And then after something had already happened, he posted, we are occupying, buildings. Now, there's nothing
after
that's actually
something that had already happened.
Yeah.
What do you mean had happened? The group that was gathered were Proud Boys at 10 a.m. out of uniform. They were the ones at the initial breach.
If there was a plan, wouldn't they have said that, Tarrio came up with this and he directed people to actually execute this plan? There's nothing in there. They were planning to attend from the evidence at the indictment to show up and rally.
He's literally the one that he's literally the person. Yeah, he's the
who breached
person.
the Capitol. They followed in. They got excited with the rest of the crowd. The magnetic locks got unlocked. The crowd of people came in because, look, the elites wanted this to happen. That's what they wanted this to happen. There's no other explanation for the doors being unlocked and for the police.
But it didn't matter that the doors were unlocked. The first people in broke through the window.
But it does matter because my entire thesis is that this was a Fedsurrection. This was a planned event in order to stop the reading of the to see the evidence of electoral fraud by the alternative slate of electors.
If it was a Fedsurrection, then why weren't any of these guys ever worried about that? Why weren't any of the leadership ever like, hey, you know what's really funny is the day before, if you look at the video of Ray Epps standing in front of Baked Alaska, when Ray Epps says, we need to go into the Capitol, that's when people were saying like, Fed posting, he's glowing, Fed poster. Why didn't Tarrio or any of the leadership or any of the bright minds involved in any of this, why didn't they say, hey guys, wait, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't be involved in this.
Because Enrico Tarrio was also a federal informant.
The one that got 22 years in jail?
True or false? Is he a known federal informant?
Whether or not he'd informed at one point doesn't mean that he was doing this under like the auspices of like command from federal officers.
Are you sure about that? Because right now we've got a whole bunch of what appears to be federal officers posing as informants that are giving the plans. A bunch of idiots go through and enact it after they breach the barriers. And Enrico himself appears to be a federal informant himself. So do you see that there is room that this entire thing was actually a planned psyop in order to stop the hearing of the evidence for election interference?
Do you think that Gretchen Whitmer, that was an entire federal plot as well?
I mean, it's known that there was the entire thing was entrapment. Yeah, it
why
was.
Did the feds stop the Whitmer plot but allow the J6 plot to carry through?
Well, because they had less cooperative patsies that didn't want to do it.
Less cooperative? Tarrio's literally organizing this entire thing. That sounds like the most cooperative person.
This is no. The feds organized the entire thing, gave the weapons.
Wait, how? They're the ones doing the fundraising. They're the ones that are organizing through all of their groups in text form. They're the ones that are
the whole thing's being led by a federal informant. What are the chances, right?
Do you see the issue though that no matter what happens, for the Whitmer plot, well, the feds knew about that and that was obvious and that's why they stopped it. And for the J6 plot, well, it was obvious the feds were leading that. That's why they didn't stop it. No matter what happens, there's no piece of evidence that I can show you. Even if I showed you a piece of evidence where Enrique Tarrio said, I thought of this plan all on my own, you would say it doesn't matter because he was a federal informant the whole time.
Right. And what would make you...
Wait. Do you acknowledge that? Do you acknowledge that if Tarrio admitted it was my plan, I was the one, I got this from another Proud Boys member and I agreed with all of it, that you would just say that doesn't matter, he's just a federal informant anyway?
I mean, this whole exercise was a trap, which at the end gets sprung to let you know that Tarrio is actually a federal agent, right?
What is our evidence that he is a federal agent?
He admitted it.
When?
It came out. Either he admitted or it came out that he was a federal informant.
Why wouldn't they give Ray Epps any jail time to cover their tracks, but they would give Enrique Tarrio 22 years of jail time?
Because Ray Epps has never been known as an organizer of any
people literally thought that he was part of the deep state, who you literally just said that he was the one that encouraged everybody in the initial breach. So why, if they're trying to cover their tracks so well that they're willing to give an FBI operator,
because he was an incidental instigator, where Enrico Tarrio was a federal entrapment operation for the very get-go.
Wait, Ray Epps wasn't incidental. He was there the day before calling people to break in, remember?
Right, but he wasn't leading an organization like the Oath Keepers or the Proud Boys.
What? Okay. I'm just curious, what could I possibly say? What piece of evidence could possibly be presented to you to believe that these were probably a bunch of right-wingers that actually supported Trump, that wanted to take over the Capitol building on this day because they didn't like the outcome of the election?
It's very easy. It's very easy. Okay. We could have an indictment where the people that aren't inducing all of this criminal activity are unknown. For one, we could have Enrico Tarrio not being a federal informant, too. Right?
Okay. What if I said that?
All these people are anonymous and federal informants.
What if the first person that made this charge? Okay. What if it was? What if his name was Jeremy Bertino, who was a top lieutenant in the Proud Boys to leader Enrico Tarrio, and he was the guy that first pled guilty to seditious conspiracy and then agreed to inform on the other guys, and this was the guy that presented him with the initial plan.
That would make a lot more sense. Yeah. Is that what actually happened? Is that what you're asserting?
Yeah, I linked you a CNN article. So he was listed in previous indictments as person 1. I don't know if he has done sentencing yet. This guy also wasn't present at the Capitol riot.
Right. Well, they also went after Ray Epps, then turned around and then pulled the rug out and gave him a $500 fine.
Well, sure, because there was a bunch of attention on him, and then people were trying to figure. But all Ray Epps probably did was trespass. That's all we probably ever saw from him.
Well, he also looks like he was also inciting for.
You have no evidence of that. You have no evidence of that.
Well, I've got except the video, right? I mean,
no, the video has no evidence of that. All you can see is him whispering to somebody. You have no idea what he said. Why would you assume that he's committing a crime by whispering to somebody? Couldn't he have just as easily said, like, "Hey guys, we're getting too violent. We need to calm down," like he said in every other video that day?
Only after it went down, but the night before he was telling everyone we need to go into the Capitol because that's where our problems lie.
Yeah,
right?
But like, isn't it possible that after he saw how violent things were getting, he was uncomfortable because he's just an old dude that like believes in his country and he got a little bit overhyped the day before, but when he actually saw it playing out, he's like, guys, you need to calm the fuck down. Like, wasn't that what was happening literally the entirety of that day?
Dude, the New York Times circled the wagons around this guy and said that he is a victim of a conspiracy. Like, of all the J6ers that they're going to defend one of the guys that was inciting an insurrection. Like, literally, like, we need to go into the Capitol. That's where our problems lie. Why would the New York Times spend any energy defending this guy?
Because you guys were trying to say that he was literally the ringleader of the entire operation when there was absolutely no evidence of that.
So why does the New York Times care who we accuse?
Because it's a way to obviously divert responsibility from the people that actually were involved in this, right?
Well, they all think that's insurrection. What they think that everybody
no one is talking about insurrection.
Responsible.
We were talking about conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Okay, we were talking about obstruction of an official proceeding and aiding and abetting.
We're
not talking about what I'm saying. We're talking about what the criminal charges were, right? Obstruction of law enforcement during civil disorder and aiding and abetting.
I'm literally here to talk about your characterization of the J6 as an insurrection. Right?
That's fine, but right now, I just want you to admit that, like, the Proud Boys and the guys that were sentenced for all of these crimes, they were sentenced fairly. They were involved in the planning from top to bottom. The guy that initially gave the documents to Enrique Tarrio was a lieutenant in the Proud Boys, right? You said that if it was a Proud Boys and there's a random FBI guy, that maybe that would change your mind. He was, but now you're saying Enrique Tarrio was just a federal officer the entire time. So there's literally no. So then at this point, there's nothing I could show you to convince you that these were like authentic Trump supporters that were trying to obstruct the certification of the electoral vote.
Well, basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cut out the legs of your argument that this was a legitimate insurrection when everyone that seems to be involved with this is either an informant, connected with the FBI or other law enforcement or military intelligence, like anonymous people that snitch on each other. And then we get this.
All of these other people? Hold on. Are all of these people in the indictment? Are they all federal officers?
We had there's like this saying about the KKK where you go to a meeting and it's like 4 out of 5 were like federal agents. So yeah, they've been at this for a very long time. So I could show you an indictment that says Ethan turns to Tarrio and says, I'm so happy that we get to obstruct this and take over the federal government. I hope we can actually be successful with our coup. And then Tarrio says, not a coup, a rebellion. And then Donahoe and Pezzola all nod their heads in agreement and say, yes, this is going to be the best rebellion against the United States ever. And if I showed you that in a criminal indictment, you would say, well, all of them are feds, so who cares? Well, if they were feds, then I would say that. But if they weren't, then I would yield the point you'd win this argument.
Well, okay, what is our evidence that Enrique Tarrio... Wait, hold on. To be clear, why were you so invested in defending Enrique Tarrio before we read this indictment, but now you're telling me that he's just a Fed? Why did we just change up? Why didn't you just start with that and say, well, he was a Fed, so I don't care?
Because this entire argument was a trap to talk about all the different federal informants and federal snitches that were involved in this. I'm coloring it as an insurrection because that's the way that you're coloring it. But it looks like the people that were responsible for this, like, they either get defended by the New York Times or they turn out to be federal agents. Like, how many other federal agents do we have, right? We actually had a hearing on this, and the FBI said that they're not going to talk about how many federal agents that they had embedded in the J6 event. So,
okay, wait, for Enrique, I'm just curious. We'll just do just on one guy, okay? So then, to be clear, there's nothing that I could show you that would convince you of this, which is standard for conspiracy theorists. There's no amount of evidence that would change your mind because all roads lead to Rome. You're always going to find a way to have it explained by the conspiracy.
No, if he wasn't like a federal snitch, if the people that were involved in this, like, they didn't have all these people that were committing these crimes. It's like, oh, these are anonymous people. Like the guy who created this plan to like, take over the government buildings. Like if that was an individual that we could like, fact check, then you'd win it. But
if the feds, if this was their plan the entire time, why didn't they just arrest them all right outside the Capitol building on the 6th?
Yeah, they should have. Yeah.
Why didn't they? If they knew the whole time, like these guys are literally communicating in the open.
We live in a surveillance society, and they want to push this narrative because the narrative is more important than catching these people.
Wouldn't arresting them outside and like planting guns on them have been way more compelling? We arrested these dudes. We also found, 500 assault rifles. Like, look at what we stopped. Look at how important the FBI and the deep state is. Like, thank God Nancy Pelosi, and everybody ordered us to keep eyes out today. And we even arrested Enrique the day before, but they still tried to pull this up. Like, wouldn't that have been a way more compelling narrative than videos of grandma walking through,
Hey, do you get what's happening with our entire society? They're trying to maximize the amount of conflict that we have. Like they're not going to post something that's like a black and white case. They're going to post something where people see the same thing under a different light, and we get to fight about it.
Wouldn't we be fighting just as much about the other thing though? Except it'd be way more scary if they would have said they had 600 guns, because now everyone would be like, "Oh my God, what if they would have broken in? They could have killed everybody."
Yeah, I know we would have come together. We'd have said, "Yeah, screw those guys," but we're not. They don't want it. They want it to be controversial, so we talk about it endlessly. But I'm not going to sit here and say that this was a legitimate insurrection.
Wait, then why didn't they have the guys with the Whitmer plot? Why didn't they have them actually like go through and try to kidnap her? Why didn't they have them break in and just move her or something?
Because it's more controversial and we get to fight about it. And then they come out and they say, oh, guess what? Turns out it was the feds all along, right? And then the conspiracy theorists get their meat. The leftists don't even bother reading it, or they ignore it. I'm not entirely sure how they operate, but whatever circuit in their mind says, I'm just going to trust what the government says. Like, this is a whole psychological operation.
Is there, right? Just curious, sure, on the one final thing, I guess, just what is the evidence you have that Enrique Tarrio was ordered by the feds to do this?
I don't. I just know that he just happens to be a federal snitch.
Yeah, but a snitch could mean anything, right?
I was working with the feds before.
Well, like, let's say that I got arrested like 10 years ago and I snitched on a dude above me because I got caught with weed or some shit and I didn't want to get arrested, right? Does that mean that if I like concoct some crazy plan in 5 years to kill a bunch of like Proud Boys that like the feds told me to do it?
It's highly suspicious. Like, look what just happened with CrowdStrike. You know who the chief security officer was?
No, we don't.
An FBI agent for 24 years.
Okay.
It just so happens that these people that do this happen to be involved with the FBI over and over and over again.
Is there any bad thing that's ever happened ever that wasn't the FBI doing it? Does anybody ever do bad things?
Yeah, but then look, if the
like, give me an example of like one bad thing you think that's happened. So was 9/11 actually Osama bin Laden, or was that something different?
Oh, he was trained by our guys. Yeah.
Did the Hawaii fires, did those start like randomly because they were bad at managing their shit, or were those fires started intentionally?
I mean, I got on the ground reports because I got friends that live in Maui, and yeah, they blocked off the streets, they shut off the water, they told the kids to go home, and every single fireman who was there, local, was shipped off to the Big Island for some coincidentally for some training exercise. It was all a substitute firefighting force.
When the train derailed in East Palestine and they burned off those chemicals, was that intentionally by the government to poison the local people?
Tell me about that.
It was the huge train derailment like 6 years ago. There was a train derailed and they ended up setting fire to the chemicals in order to burn them off, and people accused, you don't know, you're not familiar with the big train derailment?
Vaguely. But I can't comment on that.
Do you think that were there false actors for Sandy Hook? Or do you think that was a legitimate school shooting?
Look, that's too hot of a topic. I don't want to go into that because it's complex, and the thing is that the dialectic is
sure. Do you think that the assassination on Donald Trump, was that legitimately like a Republican dude that was deranged and tried to shoot him, or was that a setup?
100% fake.
Okay. Do you think that everybody in the mainstream media and the Democrats all knew that Biden was too senile to run for president?
Republicans did. The Democrats are keeping it under wraps. And that's the reason why they had the debates before the nominee was announced. Like, that was unprecedented, right? We're all like, what's going on here? Like, why are they having the debate so early? Oh, it was to showcase Biden as being inept. And now this triggered the whole, swap-a-roo. Like, the Democrats talk about, democracy, but they literally selected their recent candidate through a conference call.
Do you think that Hillary Clinton and Podesta, did satanic things with children in the basement of a pizza parlor?
No, I think that was a psyop to screw up everyone's mind. And as the insider from Google, what I saw was that was used as the trigger to radically transform the entire company in order to institute their current censorship regime and release their AI censorship weapon called machine learning fairness, which you can look at zachvorhies.com. At my namesake, you can read all about it. I've disclosed 950 pages. That entire thing was triggered by Pizzagate.
Do you think that Russia has ever tried to influence the outcome of a U.S. election?
Absolutely. So is Israel, so is Britain, so is France, so is China.
Do you think Russia has done it more than anybody else, or do you think they all do it about the same?
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that Russia is the biggest actor in meddling in U.S. elections. No, I think it's our own people that are most responsible for it, with help of their foreign allies.
Do you think that TikTok is being used by China to spy on American citizens?
Partially. I think that China's got a lot of money and they're trying to corrupt and influence. I mean, basically, they're doing Sun Tzu's Art of War for subversion, because subversion is much cheaper than fighting a kinetic battle. And they want to destroy the United States so that they can ascend to the throne of the world.
Do you think the Biden administration collaborated with the FBI and the DOJ to make Twitter suppress the New York Post story?
Unclear, but probably, yeah.
Okay. Can you think of a single bad thing that's ever happened because of bad people? Has there ever been a bad thing that's ever happened because of people? Do you think JFK was legitimately assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald operating on his own?
No.
Do you think? Can you think of a single thing that's happened that's just bad people doing a bad thing ever, or are every single one of them conspiratorial in nature?
The bombing of Bosnia.
Wait, when you say the Iraq War, you think the Iraq War
was it was trickery by Saddam Hussein. We gave him permission to invade Kuwait, and then pulled the rug out from underneath them, and then we wanted that oil. That's what we wanted. It had nothing to do with freedom or anything like that. We just wanted their resources.
Are you concerned that Bill Clinton is on Epstein's fly logs?
Yeah.
Are you concerned that Donald Trump was on Epstein's fly logs?
Yeah, and the real criminal thing that he did was actually covered up by both the left and the right, and the person, whatever, Katie something, the Jane Doe, both sides of the media covered it up, and she withdrew her complaint after getting intimidated by the mafia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, are there any final points or anything you want to hit before we wrap it up, or?
It's going to be a scary time. These elites now have artificial intelligence, so I don't really have an ideology that I don't have a vision of the future. I just want to sort of preserve some sort of a human sovereignty as we go forward into the future, because we have a very dark future ahead of us if very bad people decide that the majority of the people on the planet aren't necessary, because we have an artificial intelligence system that can take over the means of production. We're going to be left with people that complain about civil rights, that the heads are messed up with misinformation, and that the elites may use that as justification for getting rid of the useless leaders. So I pray to God that is not what happens. But
do you think that's part of what the vaccines were used for?
I mean, yeah, I'm vaccine injured. I'm allergic to a lot of foods after the HPV vaccine. That's when I woke up. I was, and I also believe that masks work. So, the left and the right kind of hates me from time to time, because I try to point out to people what the psyops are. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for the chat, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stream. Thank you very much, Destiny. I thought this was a very productive conversation.
Have a good one. Bye.
All right, man.
I just wanted to ask all the questions at the end so you could hear, these are the people that share your opinions, okay? If you're a conservative, he has every opinion that you have. Is there anything bad that happens ever? Do conservatives believe in a single bad thing that ever happens, ever, on its own, ever? All right. Well, I love you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. What do we have? What do we have tomorrow? What a day. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I just wanted to congratulate you for really taken down the intellectuals lately.
Listen, this is who they have. This is who believes their shit. Just to be clear, these are the guys. They're all like this. By the way,
the definitions guy. And now you got.
By the way, just so you're aware, okay, this guy seems crazy. Tim Pool believes basically 90% of what this guy believes. Don't ever forget it, okay?
No,
yep,
does he?
Abso-fucking-lutely. So does Dave Smith. Yes, absolutely. So does Joe Rogan, by the way. Yes.
I just love how I just would tune in and then like an hour would go by, I'd like listen back in and, you know, same shit going on. You're going through the indictment. He seems to be listening. And then after like 2 hours of clockwork oranging this guy and like holding his fucking eyeballs open as he stares at the evidence of this shit.
And he's like, actually, that guy was a federal agent too. So actually, fuck you. Yeah. Just to be,
actually, everybody who came forward to get out of jail time, federal agents.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Listen, find me, go use the commentary community, bully some of these bigger centrists to debate me. There's a reason why Dave Smith says things like, I can't debate Destiny. He's a debate lord. It's a waste of time. And he debated Andrew Wilson. And then he debated Vosh, okay? Tim Pool.
Dave Smith?
Yes, that was. And Tim Pool said that I'm too extreme for his show. So he's afraid to have me on because I'll get his show banned. But he still hosts Laura Loomer, who said on his show that we need to start executing Democrats. So there's a reason why all these people dodge these conversations.
That person sounds like you, dude.
What?
That person sounds like you, dude.
Laura Loomer?
No, I was just making a joke because didn't you say something like executing?
No, yeah, but I'm saying that he says that I'm too extreme for his show, but he still has her on. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, I'm just saying, listen.
When you say like these guys are like big people, like who was the guy you had on?
This guy right now was a guy that apparently worked with Project Veritas in the past with James O'Keefe, who is also a huge fucking fraud, and every single thing he was involved in was fake as well. Project Veritas is
how big are they? Like, what is their
Project Veritas? I would say was probably one of the largest sources of misinformation during the 4 to 8 years ago, maybe. Also, I don't think I've ever said anybody should be executed, to be clear as well. But
whatever. I'm giving you shit.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just teasing.
But okay, all right. Listen, I need to go. I love you.
Okay, take it easy, man.
Stay safe. Be careful, okay?
Bye.
Oh, apparently... Oh, fuck. Never mind. Xander Hall News? Yeah, I'll check later. Okay. All right. I love you guys. It's been fun. I'll be back tomorrow. Be careful. Rip on. Jesus.